We find ourselves in a room where a person lies, visibly unwell, surrounded by several others. The individual lying down is identified by the name displayed. Beside him, a woman weeps, reminiscing about the person's healthier days. Sean, the fifth disciple, remarks that the old man seems drained and seeks guidance from the elder with disabilities, C, regarding their next steps. Sean suggests seeking another elder for wisdom, expressing doubt that praying for the old man's recovery would be fruitful. Kevin dismisses the idea of such a venture, believing it to be a waste of time. He credits himself with exposing the old man's martial arts, implying that without his intervention, the old man wouldn't have met this fate. The second and third disciples nod in agreement with Kevin. The fourth disciple, Young, expresses anticipation for the old man's demise, suggesting it's long overdue. Zhang shares Young's sentiment and advocates treating those who still value the old man's teachings with disdain. Young plans to become a disciple of the second elder, known for having many female followers. A nearby girl becomes enraged by the conversation, clenching her fists and cursing those present. Rising to her feet, she berates everyone, attributing their potential for immortality to SEO's teachings. She warns that the old man's time may be running out and accuses the group of ingratitude, declaring them mere animals. Her outburst provokes anger among the group. Feng approaches her. Feng slaps her, causing her to stumble backward and fall. He admonishes her to show more respect. Feng, visibly irritated, questions her audacity to address him in such a manner. She redirects her attention to Feng, suggesting that if she wishes to remain with the old man, she should be allowed to. As Kevin gathers belongings, he remarks that he's already taken anything valuable from the old man. Feng, carrying some items, smirks, commenting that the worthless old man is a fitting match for his worthless servant. The woman remained prone, quivering as she attempted to rise, her mind consumed by thoughts of betrayal. Eventually, she managed to lift herself from the ground, tears clouding her vision as she pondered the actions of those who had betrayed her. While still on the ground, the elder called out to her. Hastening back to the bedside, she inquired about his well-being, reassuring him that she would tend to him after the ungrateful ones had departed. Xiao reflected on their journey, expressing regret for not formally offering her discipleship or guiding her cultivation. He sighed, questioning if she harbored resentment toward him. Z, feeling somewhat embarrassed, acknowledged her limitations in cultivation due to her innate qualities. Recounting how Xiao had rescued her from slavery, she remained grateful and harbored no complaints. She stressed her disdain for the unjust ways of the heavens and the betrayal of villains, lamenting that good people often meet unjust fates. Seattle began to prop himself up in bed. Before she could finish her sentence, she was interrupted by a fit of coughing, causing Z to express concern for his well-being. Xiao, noticing blood on his hand, grimly remarked that his time might be near. Z knelt on the ground. Prostrating herself before Zhao Zi, she pleaded for him to accept her as his disciple if he didn't resent her. She vowed to seek vengeance against those who had betrayed him, refusing to rise until he granted her this honor. SEO was somewhat taken aback by her determination. Turning solemnly, SEO placed a hand over his chest. He acknowledged the gravity of his condition, questioning the wisdom of accepting her offer. Z, worried for his well-being, urged him to refrain from exerting himself. SEO grasps a small bottle and explains that it contains the last remnants of condensation essence. Though not remarkable, it's all he can offer her in this moment. Seeing this, tears well up in Ji's eyes. She urges Zhao to rest and not worry about her, but Zhao reassures Ji that he won't depart so swiftly. As he speaks, a fit of coughing overtakes him, and he feels a powerful sensation, causing the bottle to slip from his grasp. The bottle tumbles to the floor. It shatters upon impact. As his eyelids grow heavy, he catches sight of Z, admitting she needn't have offered herself as his disciple. Yet he still needs to awaken. Z begins to ponder if this is truly his end, while he finds her sobbing too loudly, causing discomfort to his ears. She perceives his annoyance. This regret stems from not accepting Ji as his apprentice earlier. He resigns to his fate, but suddenly, a voice announces the official launch of the disciple bonus system. Xiao, bewildered, wonders about its significance, yet he receives an infinite gold pill. Each pill possesses the spiritual energy equivalent to around 10,000 essence-gathering pills, capable of advancing cultivation or healing injuries significantly. Xiao holds the pill, tears streaming down his face, expressing gratitude for the opportunity after 20 years in this world since crossing over. 2 decades ago, he arrived in this world following a car accident, believing himself to be the protagonist of a prestigious family with exceptional talents. He even reached the foundation building stage before turning 10. However, upon joining the Hong Kong sect, his cultivation stagnated, becoming the subject of ridicule. Yet the heavens have granted him a second chance. Zhao queries the system about the nature of the reward he has received. The system elucidates that, true to its name, the host will receive compensations for all that is imparted to the disciple under the master's name. Zhao inquires if this includes the skills and knowledge his disciples acquire. The system confirms that indeed, it encompasses teachings from the host. Should the disciple's cultivation or insights progress, the host will receive double the value. Put simply, if the host imparts 200 days worth of cultivation to the disciple, they will receive back the equivalent of 200 days of cultivation. Similarly, if the disciple gains understanding of a sword technique under the master's tutelage, the host will receive X times the value. This implies that the host will directly comprehend the sword skill to the level X. Zhao holds the golden pill in his hand, querying the system if giving it to his disciple would yield returns. The system clarifies that items received as rewards cannot be recompensed. However, if the master teaches skills granted by the system and the disciple gains new insights, it's not considered a system-derived item, thus warranting a second reward. Understanding this, Zhao decides to ingest the pill, recognizing the opportunity it presents. Upon consuming the golden pill, Zhao emits a brilliant glow ascending from the realm to the golden core in one seamless motion. Throughout this, Z remains by Zhao's bedside, trembling and tearful, pleading for him to awaken. She expresses in quivering tones that all she desires is his recovery, not vengeance, discipleship, or gifts like essence pills. Suddenly, Zhao places his hand on Ji's head, advising her to remember the first lesson her master will impart. With tear-filled eyes, he lifts her chin, surprising her. Upon meeting his gaze, Ji observes that he is completely healed, radiating powerful energy. He instructs her that if she has enemies, she should seek revenge with utmost ferocity, doubling the severity. Meanwhile, in another location, Feng kneels before a man, beseeching him to accept him as his disciple, and offered Zhao's secret martial arts in exchange. Feng found himself in the Hongmeng sect, specifically the Sixth Peak. Accepting the scroll from Feng, the man acknowledged Zhao's prowess as a disciple. He lamented how Zhao, once the pride of the Hongmeng sect and deemed unrivaled, had fallen into such a state. This man, the elder of the Sixth Peak and head of the disciplinary hall, expressed his regret. The elder suggested to Feng that if he truly desired to become his disciple, it could be arranged. However, the elder introduced a ruler known as the ruler of repentance, capable of analyzing a person's spiritual roots. The elder proposed that if Feng could extract Zhao's spiritual root using this ruler, he would accept Feng as his personal disciple. Yet Feng was cautioned to handle the ruler with care, for once it came into contact with blood, it would not easily detach without the proper method. Assuring the elder, Feng grasped the ruler, pledging not to disappoint him. Suddenly, a powerful attack struck Feng from behind, hurling him into a wall. The assault left Feng gravely wounded, and when he looked down, he was horrified by what he saw. His body bore wounds from the attack, and his blood had tainted the ruler, draining his energy. Overwhelmed by pain and despair, Feng collapsed to the ground, crying out that he couldn't die there as his journey to immortality had just begun. Unperturbed by the chaos, Elder Wang questioned who could have perpetrated such an act. Looking up, the elder spotted Zhao flying overhead. Meeting Wang's gaze, Zhao challenged him to retrieve his spiritual roots himself if he truly desired them. Wang glanced up and apologized to Zhao, clarifying that it was merely a jest played on Feng and nothing serious. However, inwardly, Wang pondered how Zhao possessed such formidable power when Feng had claimed he was on death's doorstep. It defied logic. Zhao responded that if that were the case, then all was well. Unfortunately, Zhao wasn't joking. Wang Na shook his head in disbelief. Zhao began channeling his magical power, summoning several swords around him. Observing this, Wang Na was impressed, recognizing it as the Kangong sword art technique. This recollection prompted Wang Na to remember something. When he and Zhao entered the Hongmeng sect, Xiao had gained favor with the sect master by inventing the glowing sword art and received a lion's share of cultivation resources. Fortunately, Wang Na had advanced to the Golden Core realm first, rendering Xiao seemingly useless. Wang Na erected a barrier around himself to defend against Xiao's attack. Within the barrier, he warned Xiao against foolishly attacking him, as Wang Na had already reached the second level of the Golden Core, negating any advantage Xiao might have. But before Wang could finish his sentence, his barrier was effortlessly shattered by Xiao's attack. This left Wang Na utterly terrified by Xiao's strength, questioning how this could be happening. With a faint smile, Xiao asked if this was the extent of someone at the second level of the Golden Core. The assault intensified, with swords swirling around Wang Na. He was in shock, believing the power Xiao demonstrated surpassed even that of the third level of the Golden Core or higher. As Wang Na contemplated Xiao's power, one of the swords struck his hand, eliciting a scream of pain. Emerging from amidst the swords, Wang Na shouted at Xiao, warning him that if he dared to kill Wang Na, the sect would never forgive such an act. Xiao calmly questioned Wang Na's assertion, expressing curiosity about what the sect would do once Wang Na was no more. Xiao redirected his attack towards Wang Na, who, with no other recourse, decided to utilize a mysterious artifact. Upon activation of this artifact, a protective shield emerged, shielding Wang Na from harm. Wang Na inwardly lamented that unfortunately, this artifact had only 3 charges, and this was the last one. He viewed it as a significant loss, as he had intended to reserve this final charge for when he advanced to the nascent soul stage. Observing this, Xiao acknowledged to himself that Wang Na indeed had some hidden tricks. He remarked that it seemed Wang Na had received quite a few gifts over the years. Suddenly, black lightning began to strike indiscriminately. Wang Na called out to Xiao, questioning if he truly intended to persist with this course of action. Xiao, with a resolute expression, questioned why he should halt. Continuing his assault, Xiao's attack culminated in a massive explosion. Amidst the chaos, Wang Na found it difficult to believe what was unfolding before him. Xiao's onslaught commenced, laying waste to everything in its path. When the onslaught subsided, the surroundings lay in ruins with a gaping hole torn into the ground. In the aftermath, Wang Na suffered severe injuries, writhing in pain. As Xiao drew closer, Wang Na was overcome with terror, screaming for Xiao to stay back. Drawing near, Xiao questioned if the shield Wang Na had used was a top-tier mysterious artifact, as it had managed to preserve Wang Na's life in this world. Artifacts were categorized into 5 levels: mortal, mysterious, earthly, celestial, and immortal. Each level contained 4 grades: low, medium, high, and supreme. Wang Na's shield belonged to the mysterious class, high grade. Even within a sect, such a treasure would typically be regarded as a sect-defending treasure. Xiao hadn't anticipated Wang Na possessing such a valuable item. Xiao paid little heed to this revelation. In any case, the confrontation was drawing to a close. Drawing his sword, he aimed to deliver the final blow. Despite his injuries, Wang Na hastily erected one final barrier around himself and pleaded for Xiao to spare his life. Xiao hesitated as he heard a voice. It was Zhang He, the leader of the Hongmeng sect, cautioning Xiao against acting rashly. Intra-sect conflicts violated sect rules and could result in expulsion for both parties. Xiao turned towards the sect leader and withdrew a small amount of energy into his hand. Upon seeing Zhang He, Wang Na felt a surge of hope, believing the gods had intervened. He began to implore for assistance, alleging that Xiao was causing havoc among the members present. In an instant, Zhang He used his power to strike Wang Na's face, silencing him. Zhang He declared that Wang Na should report to the inquiry pool of the disciplinary hall for a thorough analysis to determine who deserved expulsion from the sect. Wang Na, now battered and trembling on the ground, weakly protested that it wasn't necessary. Turning to Xiao, Zhang He congratulated him for breaking through to the Golden Core realm. Expressing gratitude to Zhang He, Xiao acknowledged that without this advancement, he might have become a target, risking the removal of his spiritual roots. Wang Na shouted that it was a misunderstanding and that he would accept the sect's punishment. However, he expressed a hope that this wouldn't be held against him in the future. Zhang He, with crossed arms, assured Wang Na that out of respect for the sect leader, he would spare Wang Na's life for the time being. Zhao looked back towards the south, dragging himself on the ground. Zhao pointed out that Feng had committed a graver offense than Wang Na, deeming betrayal of one's master and repaying kindness with hostility unacceptable. Therefore, Zhao advocated for Feng to be barred from entering the sect and for his cultivation to be completely extracted. Feng attempted to appeal to the sect leader for assistance, but Zhang He simply stated that it was Xiao's prerogative to handle the situation as he saw fit. Upon hearing this, Zi began to run, asserting that there was no need for her master to intervene. Witnessing Zi's reaction, Feng disparaged Zi as useless and launched an attack against her. Zi remained motionless as the attack approached. Then she began to channel magic into her hand. With effortless grace, she defended against Feng's attack. This left Feng completely stunned, as Ji had been previously regarded as insignificant. He questioned when she had learned the Konglong sword art. Upon hearing this, Xiao began to explain. Just 3 days prior, while Ji was meditating, the system provided her specifications. Her name was Yan Nu, her true identity was a disciple, her proficiency was at level 260, and her talent was the innate immortal sword. Activation of this talent required reaching the foundation establishment stage to gain recognition from the Lin family's ancestral sword embryo. Xiao marveled at the incredible talent of the innate immortal sword, pondering its significance. With a suspicious glance, Xiao remarked casually that he was simply considering Ji's potential talent with swords. He expressed his intention to seek out Feng so Ji wouldn't be left defenseless. Demonstrating his Konglong sword art, Xiao cleaved a tree with his sword. He explained that he had created this technique years ago and emphasized that even if Ji could learn just a little, it would be remarkable. Forming a small sword with her magic, Ji inquired if it resembled the technique. Xiao affirmed her progress, and the system notified that she had entered into the Konglong sword art. Another window appeared, indicating that teaching the disciple the Konglong sword art would yield tenfold rewards, including the sky-slicing technique, a high-level, mysterious grade skill. This underscored Ji's true value. Ji approached Feng, preparing to step on him, and began to speak. Despite Master Xiao's extensive guidance, Feng remained unable to grasp the technique. Ji glared down at Feng, who pleaded for Ji to cease. She taunted Feng, asking who was useless now, then pressed her foot onto his chest, eliciting screams of pain. Zi addressed her master, confirming that the traitor thing's spiritual root had been eradicated, and requested Zhang to validate it. Xiao, acknowledging the accomplishment, commended her on a job well done. Zhang declared that Xiao had outlined his punishment, shifting attention to Wang Na for her turn to face consequences. Zhang He was instructed to take Wang, offering a resolution to the matter. Xiao turned towards Leader Zhang, inquiring when he had mentioned the conclusion of everything. Leader Zhang, somewhat perplexed, questioned Xiao about his statement, reminding him that earlier he had promised to spare Wang's life. Wang, upon hearing this, anxiously inquired what more Xiao demanded of him. Xiao offered a faint smile, affirming his intention to spare Wang's life. However, his demeanor turned cold as he asserted that Wang wouldn't be let go so easily. Xiao stated that Elder Wang's sincerity would determine the outcome. Wang's smile widened as he produced a bag, claiming it contained all his treasures. He extended the bag to Xiao, hoping it would suffice. Xiao employed his magic to swiftly seize the bag, praising Elder Wang Anna's wisdom and enlightenment. Thanking Wang, Zhao bid him farewell and instructed his disciples to depart. As they left, Zi showered praise upon Master Xiao, who announced they would rest for the day and resume Ji's guidance the next. Wang watched silently. Leader Zhang bid farewell to Wang Anna, urging him to take care. Wang, with a bruised face and seething annoyance, vowed that this wouldn't be the end. The following day, at the 7th peak, Xiao found himself engrossed in exploration once more. Zhao eagerly delved into the contents of the bag bestowed upon him by Wang Na. As Xiao sifted through the items, he discovered an array of treasures, including elixirs suitable for advancing to the Golden Core realm. While their quality wasn't top-notch, they would suffice. Picking up 2 scrolls, one of mortal grade and the other earth grade, Xiao pondered how these medium-grade primordial techniques could aid Zi in laying a solid foundation. Surveying the assortment, Xiao identified the most valuable item, a sword named the 5-element seal, earth grade, intermediate level. Realizing he had little use for these treasures himself, he resolved to gift them all to Zi, knowing that the system's rewards would always surpass such worldly possessions. With nearly everything inspected, only one item remained, a small bag brimming with high-level spiritual stones. Xiao marveled at Wang Na's recent mining endeavors, now feeling assured of wealth. With newfound riches in mind, Xiao entertained thoughts of Wang Na establishing a village someday. Just then Zi arrived, reminding Xiao of their scheduled training session in 2 hours. She sought permission to enter. Chang granted her entry and invited Ji to join them. As they convened, Chang delved into the intricacies of cultivation realms, explaining the stages from postnatal innate qi refinement to the transcendental realm, each subdivided into 10 minor realms. The postnatal realm focused on enhancing physical strength and quality by strengthening blood energy and tempering muscles, bones, and skin. In the innate realm, internal energy formed from blood and qi, bolstering martial prowess and physical defense, up to the transcendental realm. Ascension to immortality was rumored to be possible upon reaching the highest realm, though few had attained such heights. Thus, the journey toward immortality remained an elusive quest pursued by only the most dedicated practitioners. Positioned across from each other, Xiao and Ji connect hands as they embark on their training session. Xiao initiates by introducing the primordial technique, urging Ji to approach it with unwavering dedication. Agreeing to Xiao's instruction, Zhou and Ji delve into the practice. While Zi remains deeply engrossed, Xiao offers guidance, directing her through the motions and providing instructions on how to circulate qi to gain deeper comprehension. Once again, the system window appears with its familiar prompts. Observing Ji's spiritual roots numbering only 15, Xiao queries the system regarding the typical score for an ordinary individual. The system indicates a range between 50 and 60 points, shedding light on Ji's aptitude for easily grasping techniques, but facing challenges in cultivation advancement. Determining that he must intervene directly, Xiao resolves to channel qi to aid Ji in refining her essence and marrow. Placing his hand near Ji's head, energy emanates, enveloping her body in its flow. Ji's eyes flutter open, and she finds herself at the 10th stage of the postnatal realm. Concerned for Zhao's well-being, Ji questions his actions, aware of the potential risks involved in such direct intervention, including cultivation loss, regression, and even injury to the provider's body. Placing her hand on his head, she reassures him of her trust in his expertise. The system notifies Zhao of transferring 100 days of cultivation to Ji, resulting in a gain of 500 days for himself. Reflecting on this, Xiao realizes his newfound advantage. Presenting Ji with a bag filled with riches, Zhao expresses that these gifts are tokens of his appreciation for her. Despite his previous limitations, he now finds joy in being able to provide generously. Ji, touched by this gesture, experiences newfound happiness in receiving such kindness. The system reveals that Zhao has gifted Ji a 3rd-grade Huan pill and 10 2nd-grade pills, resulting in a considerable reward. Additionally, he receives a 4th-grade Huan pill in return. Expressing her gratitude once more, Zi thanks her mentor, Zhao, for not only saving her life in the past, but also for guiding her towards a promising future. She pledges her unwavering service, ready to assist him whenever he calls upon her. The system displays Xiao's generous bestowal of 17 martial arts to Ji, resulting in a rewarding return of 20 times the value. Zhao is now in possession of a celestial-grade, supreme-rank 1,000-mile sword art. Zhao urges Ji not to underestimate her worth to him, emphasizing that everything he possesses is also hers. Encouraging her to train diligently after absorbing the teachings, he promises to provide her with ample resources for her cultivation. Ji is surprised by his generosity, realizing there will be more opportunities in the future. According to the system, Zhao has gifted Ji the 5-element seal, a mid-rank earth-grade martial art, receiving a reward of 20 times the value. A gentle wandering sword, supreme rank, earth grade. Perplexed by her master's abundance, Ji advises him to exercise caution, as such generosity may come with hidden costs. Nonetheless, she trusts in his well-being and playfully mentions his upcoming seclusion period, during which he aims to ascend to level 5 of the Golden Core realm. Excited by the prospect of protecting Zhao during his cultivation, Ji vows to fend off any intruders who dare approach. Zhao reminds Ji to practice diligently without undue stress. Ji reassures him of her commitment and immediately sets out to practice. Opening the system window, Zhao eagerly reviews all his accumulated rewards. Holding the Huan pill in his hands, Xiao recalls hearing about its rarity. It can only be cultivated by someone with a nascent soul. The heavenly materials required for fourth-grade elixirs are exceedingly rare, making them highly sought after. Reflecting on the scarcity of these pills within the Hongliang sect, Xiao acknowledges their immense value. However, his true desire lies with the thousand-mile sword art. This art represents the pinnacle of swordsmanship, unmatched in its mastery. Recognizing the potential of combining the thousand-mile sword art with his new high-level Earth-grade sword, the Gentle Wandering Sword, Xiao envisions an unbeatable combination. Excited by the possibilities, Xiao resolves to test the true power of this formidable pairing. Xiao effortlessly shatters a stone with a small attack. The technique of the thousand-mile sword art surprises Xiao, focusing on the manipulation of the sword. Xiao contemplates the idea of collecting more swords or acquiring valuable ones to challenge stronger realms in the future. However, for now, Xiao will focus on absorbing the cultivation offered by the system. Confident in his abilities, Xiao believes he may even exceed the 5th stage of the Golden Core. While leisurely strolling through the Wang sect market, Jiang and Lishan are approached by 2 women. These women begin discussing Xiao, mentioning his recent ascension to the Golden Core and his confrontation with Elder Wang on the 6th peak, where Xiao reportedly defeated Wang in a humiliating manner, sparking the interest of Jiang and Lishan. The women express admiration for Zhao's willingness to sacrifice his own spiritual roots to aid his disciple, envying those with such a devoted master. Hearing this, Lishan wonders if Zhao could truly have imparted his skills and assistance to Xiao. The women accompanying Wang Jiang inquire why Jiang and Lishan departed from the 7th peak. Wang Jiang dismisses their queries, labeling Xiao as an incompetent who mistreats his students, explaining their departure from there. As Lin Ha observes the interaction, he ponders Xiao's advancement to the Golden Core, despite being a new disciple and Elder Wang's failure to defeat him, questioning the truth of the matter. Intrigued, Lin Horan decides to investigate the situation firsthand. He resolves to witness the truth for himself. At the 7th peak's gate, a man representing the sect leader Zhang confronts Xiao. Introducing himself as Chen, Zhang's senior disciple, he warns Xiao of the upcoming sect competition in 100 days, advising him to prepare accordingly. Chen hesitates, offering an apology before broaching the impending conversation with Ji. Ji, though seemingly frail, astounds Eugene with her talent in the competition. Eugene predicts her defeat in subsequent tears. Hearing Eugene's doubts, Ji bristles, but Xiao intervenes, suggesting Chen's perspective is narrow. Eugene is taken aback by Xiao's interjection. She reveals Ji's remarkable progress, from a novice to the 10th stage of the postnatal phase in just 3 days, prompting Zhao to inquire about Ji's rapid evolution. Despite appearances, Chen questions if Ji truly lacks relevance. Chen, bewildered, questions Xiao's assertion, doubting its sincerity. Xiao challenges Chen's disbelief, prompting Z to demonstrate her prowess with flames. Chen, now fearful, acknowledges the authenticity of Ji's progress, but struggles to comprehend its feasibility. Lin Haran, observing covertly, shares in the astonishment. Xiao departs confidently, asserting the realm's boundless possibilities, while Dream revels in Chen's correction. Hidden still, Lin Haran doubts Ji's individual capability, suspecting Xiao's intervention. Lin Haran contemplates the repercussions of transferring one's cultivation, pondering how to leverage this knowledge. Following these events, Lin Haran finds themselves in the presence of Elder Meng Yu within the 3rd Peak's hall. Elder Meng Yu questions Lin's allegations, pondering potential actions against Xiao's apparent usurpation of Wang's techniques. Lin Haran asserts their dominance within the sect, claiming entitlement to the lion's share of resources, condemning Xiao's perceived wastefulness. Upon hearing Lin Haran's declaration, among the sect members, permission is granted for Lin Haran to personally address the issue. Among the assembly, it is underscored that should Lin Haran succeed in defeating Xiao, they will be acknowledged as a direct disciple, a prospect that Lin Haran expresses gratitude for. Meanwhile, within the training chamber of the 7th Peak, Xiao and Ji prepare for Ji's advancement into the inner realm, a process that involves meridian cleansing. Zhao notes the potential benefits for Ji's future cultivation, albeit accompanied by significant pain. Ji affirms her readiness, recalling Yi Chang's guidance and resolving to assert herself once strengthened, drawing motivation from her encounter with Chen. Reflecting on her recent interaction with Chen, Ji finds renewed determination. prompting Xiao to deem it an opportune moment for Ji's meridian cleansing and advancement. Xiao produces a bag containing fourth-class meridian cleansing pills, acquired through wealth obtained from Huang Na. With preparations made, Xiao initiates the training regimen. Ji concentrates intently as the process commences. Despite initial discomfort, Ji endures, ultimately experiencing a sense of lightness. A system notification confirms Xiao's transfer of 200 days of cultivation to Ji, augmenting her aptitude by 70 points and bestowing a low-class autumnal water sword technique of Earth rank, a development that Xiao regards with satisfaction. Pleased with the outcome, Xiao's cultivation reaches the 6th level of the Golden Core. Content with his gains, Xiao revels in the satisfaction of progress. Ji, having completed the process, awakens feeling significantly improved. Having attained the first innate level, Zuri questions whether the meridian and marrow purification technique she underwent is sufficient to confront Chen. A window displays Zuri's information anew. Name, Xinyu, true identity, disciple. Understanding, 260. Aptitude, 85. Talent, innate body sword, not activated. Activation condition, reach the foundation realm. Obtain recognition of the ancestral sword embryo of the Lin family. Zhao chuckles, gently touching Zuri's face, encouraging her to face Chen bravely, promising to escort her to the World Genius Challenge if she emerges victorious. Xiao's offer fills Zuri with immense joy, prompting her to confirm if such feats are truly within her reach. Abruptly, a knock disrupts the tranquility, surprising Zi and Xiao. The visitor summons Zhao, informing him of a disciple's serious injury sustained while gathering medicinal herbs, compelling Zhao to investigate. Suspicious, Zhao opts to follow the caller outside. Departing, Zi ponders the identity of Zhao's other disciples besides herself. Upon opening the door, Zhao is greeted by a surprising sight. Zi is taken aback. Lying on the ground, Lin Haran calls out for his master, referring to Xiao, and recounts his meager success in retrieving a blood dragon plant, beseeching Xiao to accept it. Furiously, Zi accuses Lin Haran of betrayal, questioning his presence. Lin Haran attempts to explain, his voice trembling, insisting it's a misunderstanding, and he retrieved the plant solely to save his master's life. The disciples of Elder Meng from the Third Peak interject, defending Lin Haran's actions and urging restraint in addressing him. Among them, someone mentions Lin Haran's 3-day plea for Elder Meng's assistance, a gesture that resonated with the Sect members. Acknowledging Lin Haran's persistence among the group, sympathizes with his plight, moved by his unwavering devotion. Drew rejects all explanations, accusing them of distorting the truth, firmly believing Lin Haran betrayed Xiao and is now attempting to manipulate the situation. Xiao intervenes, urging Ji to stay calm and entrust the matter to him. Addressing Lin Haran, Xiao queries his presence and questions whether he had already sworn allegiance to the Elder of the Third Peak. With a cold smile, Xiao queries if Lin Haran truly desires to return to his side. Kneeling before Xiao, Lin Haran acknowledges his wrongdoing and pleads for forgiveness, offering the blood dragon herb as restitution. Observing from afar, disciples of Meng speculate on Xiao's health, deeming the herb unnecessary. Another disciple remarks on Lin Haran's declining talent, warning of bleak prospects without a pill for cultivation. Acknowledging the necessity of such a pill due to Xiao's apparent ailment, the two disciples direct their attention to him, questioning if Lin Haran was responsible for his harm. Lin Haran responds with a smile, denying the accusation. Xiao, seemingly inspired, formulates a plan. Claiming a need for the herb to aid his health, Xiao requests confirmation from Zi, who promptly corroborates his story, citing his recent weakness. Observing this exchange, the onlookers are stunned. However, Lin Haran grows irritated, doubting Xiao's integrity and lamenting the necessity of obtaining the pill to avoid being deemed a failure. Resuming the charade, Lin Haran insists Zi should utilize the plant, deeming himself unworthy to possess it. Seizing the opportunity, Xiao swiftly takes the plant from Lin Haran's grasp, declaring the matter resolved and suggesting chicken stew for dinner, much to Zi's confusion. A system notification confirms Xiao's gift of a first-class blood dragon herb to Zi, resulting in 5 times more second-class blood dragon plants as a reward. Lin Haran begins coughing, expressing happiness in aiding his master, while the disciples of Elder Meng Yu support him. Recognizing Lin Haran's sacrifice, they urge among them to advocate on his behalf, lamenting Xiao's lack of reciprocation. Among them emphasizes to Xiao the gravity of the situation, highlighting the potential loss of human lives and the sect's reputation if action is not taken. They assert that future disciples could be deterred from joining the Seventh Peak if news of this negligence spreads. Xiao intervenes, urging patience among the gathered individuals. Zhao steps forward, acknowledging his duty as Lin Haran's former master, and expressing concern over the potential consequences of administering the pill due to Lin Haran's prior offenses. He offers to cleanse Lin Haran's meridians to mitigate the risks. Observing Zhao's actions, among them recognizes his value for talent and speculates on his intentions to impart his skills to his students. They resolve to closely monitor the situation for any techniques Zhao employs to minimize side effects. Xiao acknowledges Lin Haran's sacrifice, asserting his responsibility to intervene. Initiating the process, Xiao holds Lin Haran's hand as energy begins to flow, eliciting fear in Lin Haran. As the process continues, Lin Haran experiences intense pain and foaming at the mouth. Among them instructs the disciples to pay closer attention, reminding them of the hardships endured by Master Lin Haran. Realizing Zhao's actions aren't beneficial, but instead destructive, Lin Haran fears the consequences. Struggling to cry out for help, Lin Haran realizes his voice has been silenced by Zhao's technique, fearing his fate as Elder Mengyu remains indifferent, praising Lin Haran's efforts. After the ordeal, Lin Haran lies utterly broken on the ground. She reports that he successfully applied an immensely powerful technique to heal Lin Haran's entire body. However, due to his low cultivation level, there are concerns about his ability to endure it. Xiao requests assistance from someone among them to escort Lin Haran back and ensure he receives proper rest. Leaning on Ji for support, Xiao admits feeling a bit weary from exerting a significant amount of his own energy and expresses the need for a short rest. Laughter erupts among them as they speculate that one may not fully comprehend the technique employed by Xiao, evident from the noticeable difference in aura levels. Recognizing the opportune moment, they deem it an excellent time to test their skills. Without hesitation, one among them springs into action to attack Xiao, prompting a cautionary shout from Ji. However, Zhao's smile indicates his readiness for such an assault. He swiftly pivots, effortlessly deflecting the attack. With a smile, Xiao questions the audacity of exploiting such a situation to attack someone weakened like Xiao, who had just saved a man on the verge of death. Witnessing this unfold, the attacker is taken aback by the situation, pondering whether it was indeed an advantageous time and marveling at Xiao's seemingly boundless energy. Xiao channels his energy to forcefully propel the assailant away. The attacker tumbles to the ground, prompting his disciples to rush to his aid. Xiao nonchalantly turns back, acting as if nothing extraordinary had occurred, and calls upon Jia to prepare a chicken. Enthusiastic as always, she agrees and begins the preparations alongside Xiao. Lin, in a state of horror, abruptly awakens and demands to know why the two hadn't taken action sooner. Meeting each other's gaze, the two adversaries prepare themselves for imminent combat. One of them retrieves concealed items obtained by Manga during his travels, which can be manipulated through a specialized technique. These items vanish into thin air without a trace, constituting a completely invisible attack. None had been able to counteract this technique before their arrival at the Seventh Peak. It had been entrusted to him by one of their group, with clear instructions on its use in such dire circumstances. With a decisive motion, he directs it towards Zhao. However, Xiao effortlessly evades the attack with an air of nonchalance, treating it almost like a jest. The projectile collides with the door, initiating a corrosive reaction. Gradually, the door begins to deteriorate. Observing this, Zhao acknowledges the uniqueness of the situation. However, since consuming the limitless golden pill, his senses have greatly sharpened, enabling him to keenly detect any lethal intent. Without this enhancement, Zhao might have found himself in serious jeopardy. Zhao directs his gaze towards the perplexed duo, who are puzzled by how he managed to evade the attack. Unfazed by their confusion, they remain steadfast in their intention to continue the assault. Zhao instructs Ji to employ the Kongol longsword technique, targeting the southeast. Zi summons her sword and readies herself for the impending attack. With a swift motion, she adeptly parries the assault. Zi stands in awe of her skillful defense. Suddenly, a system notification appears, indicating a reward granted. It notes that under the master's guidance, the disciple has comprehended the intent of the Kangol longsword, earning a tripled reward, a set of dragon spirit armor of the earth category, intermediate class. Xiao gazes at Ji, recognizing that he had anticipated this outcome due to her recent mastery of the innate body sword. Despite her newfound ability to grasp the sword's intent, she continues to impress. The disciples of Meng are utterly astonished by this display of prowess. Even those beyond the nascent soul realm or the realm of gathering separation would struggle to detect such an attack. They question the identity of the assailant, bewildered by their capabilities. Lin Haran, crawling on the ground, urgently implores to flee from the scene. Observing Lin Haran's desperation, Zhao's gaze hardens. He reflects on how Lin Haran, who had betrayed his master and inflicted harm upon his ancestors, could muster the audacity to attack his master. Sensing Zhao's determination, Lin Haran recoils in fear. Seizing the moment, Xi leaps forward with her sword, declaring Lin Haran's actions unforgivable. Despite Lin Haran's attempt to evade, the attack lands with formidable force. Lin Aaron collapses to the ground in utter defeat, his voice quivering as he insists that this cannot be happening. Cautioned by one disciple not to approach, Master Meng Yu assures them that Xiao's fate will not end here. Their sect master, Xiao's companion, will intervene. Though one disciple reassures them, citing their stages of cultivation, another points out something unseen behind Xi. Xi's gaze is filled with a thirst for blood. Xiao lays a hand on Xi's shoulder, but she insists he rests, promising to handle everything. However, she cryptically mentions that sometimes death is preferable to life. The disciples begin to falter, pleading with Xiao not to proceed further. Despite their protests, Xiao advances steadily, questioning their remorse. Xiao continues forward, implying it's too late for regrets. Time has run its course. Hours later, Xiao stands before the sect leader, recounting the events, framing them as acts of defense and loyalty to the sect's integrity. Xiao appeals to the leader for understanding and leniency, hoping the seventh peak won't be punished. Leader Zhang remains impassive, expressing concern about potential remnants, despite the traitor's demise. The leader underscores the gravity of repeatedly flouting sect rules. Xiao humbly acknowledges the leader's wisdom and pledges obedience. Another disciple challenges the leader, accusing bias and distortion of facts. One among them voices his good intentions in visiting the seventh peak, only to witness Xiao's violation of sect rules by killing his disciple, advocating for expulsion as the fitting punishment. Xiao counters, stating it wasn't a mere visit. Lin Hauer had already been accepted as his disciple. He shifts responsibility to Meng Yu for Lin Hauer's fate, questioning the purpose behind taking him to the seventh peak. Meng Yu dismisses the notion of a casual visit, tossing the needles used in the attack. Xiao challenges the sincerity of his defense, cautioning against deceitful claims. Leader Zhang's frustration is palpable as he rebukes Meng Yu's defense of sect rules, suggesting Meng Yu set an example by voluntarily forfeiting his cultivation. Upon hearing this, Meng Yu kneels once more, pleading for mercy. Zhang He intervenes, declaring an end to the matter with a punishment for Meng Yu: 3 months of physical penance and 1 month of reflection, with no further debate. Xiao silently acknowledges the leader's wisdom. Guards arrive to escort Meng Yu away, who remains incredulous until the end. Meng Yu vows revenge, regardless of the cost, locking eyes with Zhao. Meanwhile, Xi diligently trains in the Seventh Peaks Hall. Zhao interrupts Xi's concentration, apologizing for his prior interaction with the traitor and offering to take responsibility for any punishment imposed by the sect leader. Startled, Xi quickly rises and begins to pace, while Zhao expresses remorse for his earlier actions and assures her of his support. Xiao soothes her anxieties, reassuring her that she bears no fault and can trust him to shield her from any harm. Placing a hand on Xi's shoulder, she implores her to remember these words well. From this moment forward, whether it be traitors, deities, rulers, or officials, anyone who dares to cross Xi or Xiao will face their retaliation. Xi's face flushes with excitement at this declaration. She pledges unwavering support, vowing to stand by Xi's side even if the heavens themselves were to collapse. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Xi breaks into tears and sinks to her knees. Seeing Xi's emotional display, Xiao gently lifts her up and encourages her to speak her mind. Z insists that some truths should not remain hidden from G. Z reveals her true name as Lindsay and her lineage as the daughter of the Lin family, once rulers of the Southwest. Xiao is taken aback, recalling the Lin family's esteemed martial background and their sudden demise a decade ago. Ji tearfully recounts the Lin family's discovery of a vast spiritual stone deposit on their land, a breakthrough that could have elevated them to power akin to the Hongliang sect. Despite her father's efforts to keep the discovery secret, Zi's uncle, driven by greed and ambition, betrayed the family to the Luoyun sect, leading to a massacre orchestrated for personal gain. More than 100 members of Zi's family perished at the hands of the Luoyuan sect, leaving only a few survivors under her father's protection. Z narrowly escaped, only to fall into the hands of bandits who robbed her and sold her into slavery. Z recounts how fortunate she was to be found by her master Xiao, acknowledging the bleak alternative had he not intervened. Xiao was moved to tears upon hearing Z's words, realizing the depth of her suffering and understanding her animosity towards traitors. Determined, Xiao takes Ji by the arm, declaring their descent from the mountain. Ji questions their sudden departure and destination. Xiao explains that Ji had requested Zhao as her master, and out of respect for her choice, he intends to seek retribution. Locking eyes with Ji, Xiao assures her that as her master, he will accompany her to the Luoyuan sect to exact revenge. Zi's tears flow anew at Xiao's resolve. Ji rushes to embrace Xiao, expressing her desire for his peaceful existence, even if it means kneeling for the rest of her life. Xiao reassures her, urging them to focus on their journey ahead. With limitless possibilities awaiting, they depart. In the midst of the forest outside the city, two figures engage in combat until a third intervenes. These combatants are Lori and Linking Zhuan, and upon spotting the newcomer, Lori angrily accuses him of allowing others to perish, draining their energy. The newcomer, Zhang Ye from the Sun and Moon Ghost Sect, acknowledges his role in the conflict, citing Luo Rei's mastery of the Green Twin Swords technique. Zhang Yi initiates a confrontation, prompting Lori and Linking Zhuan to prepare for battle. However, a sudden surge of energy disrupts the impending clash, halting all parties. Angrily, Zhang demands to know the source of the interference. Linking Zhuan and Lori exchange startled glances as they observe the hole in the stone caused by the mysterious energy beam. Ji expresses frustration, admitting she missed her attack due to mistiming. Xiao calmly reminds her that he had warned her about the premature timing of her strike. Zhang makes a sarcastic remark, attributing the chaos to Ji's beauty. In a mocking tone, Zhang asks Ji how she plans to make amends. Ji, disapproving of Zhang's arrogance, declares that his demeanor warrants punishment. Despite her protest, Ji advances towards Zhang Yu. With a swift motion, Zhang disarms Ji, admonishing her master for failing to caution her against such recklessness. Concerned onlookers, Linking Shan and Lori, caution Ji to be careful, but she remains resolute, focusing solely on her objective. Ji retorts to Zhang, stating that her master taught her not to show mercy to fools like Zhang Yu. She then employs her magic, conjuring a radiant glow behind Zhang. Before he can react, several swords strike him from behind, eliciting a cry of pain. Ji retrieves Zhang's bag and presents it to Xiao, revealing it contains nothing of significant value, only spiritual stones and elixirs. Xiao suggests Zi keep the bag. Linking Chuan and Lori approach Ji and Xiao, expressing gratitude for their assistance. They introduce themselves as disciples of Elder Juice, one from the Hongliang sect, and inquire about Ji and Xiao's identities. Xiao introduces himself as Elder Xiao of the Seventh Peak, and Ji as a student, exchanging pleasantries with the newcomers. Xiao downplays formalities and asks why they were engaged in combat with members of the Sun and Moon Ghost Sect. Lori explains that the Ghost Sect harbors animosity towards the Hongliang sect, with some members even targeting monks. The recent conflicts stem from disputes over the colorless grass of 1,000 years, which comes in various grades and qualities. This plant holds significance in the spiritual realm, with different sects vying for its possession. Xiao nods, understanding the gravity of the situation surrounding the valuable plant. Lori underscores the value of the colorless grass of 1,000 years, explaining its role in crafting foundation stage pills and its scarcity. He reveals that this particular plant was unexpectedly discovered at an auction due to leaked information, attracting the attention of Jiang Yu's followers. Out of gratitude, Lori offers the plant to Xiao, noting that its timely arrival prevented its potential theft by the Ghost Sect. Xiao acknowledges the significance of the herb in refining foundation stage pills, enhancing success rates, and questions Lori's sincerity in giving it away. Linking Zhuan and Lori fix their gaze on Xiao as Lori explains their master's teachings of gratitude and vengeance, urging Xiao to accept the herb as a token of appreciation. Xiao agrees to accept the gift but proposes to share the pills once Zhao refines them, emphasizing their connection as students of Elder Zhou. Lori expresses thanks and attempts to hand over the herb. However, Xiao suggests it's premature to accept the gift and announces his intention to impart 3 lessons to everyone present. Xiao advises on the importance of targeting the root of a problem when taking action, demonstrating by magically slicing a tree in half with a sword. As the tree falls, 2 figures emerge from its vicinity. Startled, Lori demands to know when they had hidden there. The woman, still crouching, observes Lori's arrogance despite being only at the first level of the Golden Core. The newcomers are revealed as Young Zi at the 3rd level of the Golden Core and Qing Yang at the 4th level. Yang Zi accuses Xiao of killing their disciple and asserts it's now his time to face consequences. Xiao acknowledges their reputation as the yin and yang deities of the lunar and solar phantom sects, known for their unmatched soul recovery abilities and persistence in capturing targets. Despite the impending threat, Xiao remains undeterred, aware of the formidable challenge ahead. Chu believes it's up to him to record the events. Before departing from the 7th peak, he employed techniques to conceal his presence, noting the lack of discernment in the 2 young opponents. He gazes at Xiao, expressing his lack of fear despite being aware of Xiao's reputation, further fueling Bian's excitement for the impending battle. Bian swings his chains in an attempt to strike Xiao. Xiao effortlessly evades the initial attack. Seattle observes the tree trunk where the chain made contact, noticing a peculiar change. Yangxi creates a whirlwind with his blood-infused chains, trapping Xiao in the center. He warns that the chains are imbued with the blood and essence of thousands, capable of turning even innocence into bones upon touch. Xiao continues to evade the chain attacks, dismissing Yangzi's extravagant claims. He remains confident that as long as he dodges, he'll be safe. However, just as Xiao expresses his confidence, he senses something amiss and looks down. Several magical skeletons emerge from the ground, gripping his feet. Jinjiang brandishes her staff, claiming its power to ensnare souls as sacrifices, ensuring those trapped within never escape. Despite the dire situation, Xiao chuckles, acknowledging their coordinated attacks as commendable. Jinjiang screams for Xiao's demise. Xiao finds himself ensnared by multiple souls and surrounded by chains, while his opponents grow increasingly desperate. Witnessing Xiao's predicament, the 2 assailants become frantic. Xiao closes his eyes. Moments later, numerous magical swords materialize around him. Xiao directs the swords towards his adversaries. Yangxi, somewhat relieved, remarks on Xiao's audacity in confronting both magical artifacts despite being only at the spiritual energy stage. Upon witnessing Xiao's attack, Jin Yong is taken aback and urges them to join forces. Upon impact, the chains effortlessly penetrate them, leaving Yangxi utterly desperate, unprepared for such a turn of events. Yanzi is thrown back by the force of the sword's impact. Seeing this, Qing Yang is overcome with fear, deeming the situation highly abnormal. How could the Xiao sword possess such formidable power? This bodes ill. Observing the unfolding chaos, Jin Yong attempts to flee, prompting Ji to vocally express her retreat. As Qing Yang flees in desperation, she reflects on the abnormality of these swords, considering that even in the hands of a novice soul stage cultivator, such power would be unlikely. Alerted by Ji, Xiao focuses his attention and questions Qing Yang's belief that she could escape. Xiao directs his power towards Jin Yong, decreeing her demise. Resorting to the souls within her staff once more, Jin Yong implores them to deflect the impending attack. The Xiao sword relentlessly advances toward the center, homing in on Qing Yang. Once the formation is breached, the spirits will be liberated. Upon hearing this, the spirits halt, refusing to shield Qing Yang. Confounded, Qing Yang urges the spirits to recognize Xiao as the enemy and defender. Instead, the spirits turn against Qing Yang, attacking her ferociously. Thus, the curse is shattered. Zhao releases them to pursue their own paths. Linking Chuan and Lori are awestruck by Zhao's formidable strength, witnessing Elder Zhao dispatch 2 villagers from the Lunar and Solar Ghost sect with just 2 moves. Linking Chuan speculates that Xiao may now even transcend into the nascent soul realm. Ji rushes over joyfully, announcing the discovery of all the treasures belonging to the recently defeated pair. Approaching with a smile, Xiao congratulates Ji on her growing proficiency in collecting spoils, offering her a chink and bag that belonged to Jiang Yi. Ji's eyes light up with happiness upon hearing this, and she expresses her gratitude to Master Xiao for the gift. Observing Xiao's generosity towards Ji, Linking Chuan and Bilori are astonished. Ji proudly boasts of possessing 10,000 low-ranked spirit stones and numerous elixirs. She questions Master Xiao on how she would utilize all these riches alone. Xiao informs Ji that he has entrusted everything to her and advises her to handle it with care. He contemplates examining the rewards bestowed upon him by the system. The system detects the host's generosity towards his apprentice, revealing a substantial reward consisting of various items. Among the rewards are a level 4 immortal nourishing pill, a Cancun ring, merciless millennium herbs, and absolute class spirit stones, leaving Xiao astounded by the magnitude of the gifts. Pausing to absorb the enormity of the 2,000 absolute class stones received, Xiao realizes the vast wealth now at his disposal. Xiao jubilantly celebrates his newfound riches, feeling as though he has struck gold overnight. Ji seeks Xiao's approval to gift the 2 bags to Linking Juan and Bilori, since she already possesses a Cancun ring. Linking Juan and Bilori hesitate to accept the gifts, considering them too valuable. Xiao affectionately pats Ji on the head, assuring her that she is free to do as she pleases with the gifts. With a smile, Ji hands over the 2 bags to them, requesting that they handle them with care. Linking Juan and Bilori shed tears of happiness, expressing their gratitude towards Ji and Zhao as benevolent individuals. Bilori admits to feeling envious of Ji for having such a selfless master. Xiao and Ji eventually make their way to the alchemy room in Luoyuan City. Upon entering, they find several individuals deeply engrossed in their tasks. Ji inquires about their activities. Xiao elucidates that the merciless millennium herb they acquired outside the city can be utilized to refine foundation creation pills for Ji. Excited by the prospect, Ji expresses profound gratitude towards her master. A woman named Shu Moon overhears their conversation. Surprised by the revelation that refining foundation creation pills requires at least golden core cultivation level, Shu Moon initially doubts Xiao's abilities due to his youthful appearance. However, upon observing his serene cultivation, her skepticism wanes. Suddenly, an explosion rocks the room, hurling Xiao and Ji away. Embarrassed, Ji questions Xiao's expertise in alchemy. Xiao, attempting to maintain composure, admits to never having made a foundation creation pill before. Shumun offers her assistance in perfecting the foundation creation pill. Ji eagerly agrees, though Zhao remains suspicious. Shumun explains the requirements for refining the pill, insisting that Zhao must handle the process alone. Onlookers admire Shumun's generosity, perceiving her as genuinely compassionate. Xiao notices the symbol on Shumun's shirt, indicating her status as a second-level alchemist. Xiao expresses surprise at Shumun's youthfulness, despite her advanced alchemical skill. While Su Mohan concentrates on extracting the urban herb, Xiao expresses gratitude for the assistance and offers to pay double the market value. Subsequently, Mohan begins the herb preparation process, while Z and Xiao observe attentively. The surroundings become infused with vibrant green and yellow energy. Su Mohan retrieves a bottle and utters an incantation, causing the energy to flow into it. Despite Xiao's insistence on payment, Su Mohan insists that the favor was freely given and declines any compensation. Amidst the chaos of people running and shouting about the auction, Su Mohan remains calm and observant. Mohan gracefully takes her leave, refusing any payment once again. Contemplating a suitable weapon for Ji, Xiao considers the terrestrial-level sword up for auction, strategizing to acquire valuable items to benefit from the system's rewards. Inviting Ji to accompany him to the auction, Xiao's gesture elicits excitement from Ji, who eagerly accepts the invitation. Within the Tongji building's second floor, the auction unfolds with a presenter showcasing remarkable items, including a 1,000-year-old ironwood whip imbued with spiritual energy and adorned with spiritual stones, its power capable of reaching the Xuan lower realm, with an initial bidding price of 30,000 low-class stones. Z eagerly participates, raising the bid to 100,000, much to the annoyance of others struggling to keep up with the exorbitant prices. Frustration mounts among the bidders, realizing the steep competition and the difficulty for ordinary individuals to afford such high bids. Su Mohan quietly observes the bidding frenzy without interjecting. The presenter introduces a superior class melted core fire lotus, emphasizing its exceptional quality and setting the starting price at 1 million low-class spiritual stones. Recognizing the significance of this opportunity, Su Mohan realizes that acquiring the melted core lotus may be her only chance. Thoughts racing, Su Mohan contemplates her next move in securing the prize melted core lotus. However, Z, disregarding all else, joyfully stands once more, proclaiming an offer of 2 million. Su Mohan's eyes fill with tears, overwhelmed with disbelief. Other attendees express their inability to match such a high bid, acknowledging defeat as the auction reaches its conclusion, with the expectation that the wealthy will once again prevail. The presenter strikes the gavel, announcing the sale to Xiao for 2 million. Contemplating his newfound possession, Xiao muses on the notion of money not bringing happiness, prompting a thoughtful glance from Z. The presenter presents the lotus to Xiao's table, extending congratulations on the acquisition, while Z admires its beauty. Observing the scene, Su Mohan wonders if they intend to purchase everything else as well. Despite feeling a pang of sadness at losing the opportunity to acquire the melted core lotus, Su Mohan considers approaching Xiao to request it, though she fears his response. Summoning her courage, she approaches Xiao's table, catching Z's eye, who recognizes her as the earlier alchemist. Su Mohan kneels before Xiao, revealing her father's martial background and her need for the Fire Lotus's help. She implores Xiao to sell her the Fire Lotus, promising to repay the favor through diligent work. Moved by her plea, Ji inquires of his master. Xiao declares that the lotus now belongs to Ji, granting Su Mohan permission to do as she wishes with it. The system detects the exchange, rewarding Xiao with 5 times the usual reward for gifting a superior grade core fused Fire Lotus to his apprentice. Before any further action can be taken, a rope with an iron tip hurtles towards them. Z swiftly discerns the impending danger and stands firm against the assault. Following the unexpected strike, Z inquires about the perpetrator. The crowd erupts into screams, anticipating a brawl. A man clutching a rope insults Ji, labeling him as insignificant. He gestures towards another man, proclaiming him as his master and offering 3 million for the lotus. The onlookers gasp as this sum is exorbitant for an average person. This individual is Wang, the offspring of the Lord of Luoyun City. Wang Younger jests that 3 million would be trifling for Su Mohan. Upon spotting him, Su Mohan displays signs of apprehension, which Xiao notices. Onlookers remark that Wang Ranga is once again harassing Su Mohan. They emphasize that ever since Su Mohan assumed the position of family head, Wang Ranga has persistently tormented her. The assailant rises again, demanding that the 2 women surrender the lotus as Wang Roger desires. Z adopts a defiant stance, asserting they will not sell merely to appease Wang Roger. Mohan rushes over, urging restraint and beseeching Ji not to provoke them, leaving Ji and Xiao perplexed. Xiao suggests that Su Mohan might have some connection with that man. Su Mohan begins to elaborate, revealing that the man is the son of the Lord of Luoyun City and holds significant influence there. She recounts Wang Ringer's previous proposal of marriage, which she declined, leading to his relentless pursuit. Su Mohan takes responsibility for the turmoil and offers 50,000 spirit stones as an apology before announcing her departure. Observing Mohan's resilience and resourcefulness, Xiao becomes enthusiastic about the prospect of mentoring such a capable woman, particularly noting her prowess as a second-level alchemist at a young age. Xiao contacts someone, informing them to wait momentarily as he plans to hand over the lotus and teach Wang Younger a lesson. However, there's a condition attached to this, leaving the recipient entirely surprised. Mohan abruptly turns, sprinting back to inquire about the stipulation. Xiao casually unfolds his fan once more, revealing that all she needs to do is acknowledge him as her master. Su Mohan exclaims her acceptance, pledging to do anything as long as Xiao can save her father. Su Mohan humbly kneels, addressing Xiao as Master Yao, offering a token of respect. She formally agrees to be his second disciple, eagerly awaiting his confirmation. A window pops up, announcing congratulations to the host for acquiring a new disciple. It reveals that Su Mohan possesses a human-level alchemy heart, enhancing the success rate of alchemy significantly. However, upon seeing this, Xiao is mildly surprised, noting Su Mohan's average aptitude and understanding, indicating the need for him to guide and transfer the power of the alchemy heart. Brandishing her sword, Su Mohan pledges her support, Xiao commands Ji to eliminate everyone present, a command Ji readily accepts. Ji promptly complies, launching an assault on the assembled individuals. The previous assailant perceives Ji as merely a braggart. Unfazed, he readies himself for another attack. But Zari intervenes with a swift kick to his face, knocking out one of his teeth and sending him crashing into the wall behind Wang Roger, leaving him wide-eyed and astonished. Observing this, Wang Roger's eyes widen in shock. Z expresses her disdain for individuals like him, asserting that despite his arrogance, he lacks any real power. Trembling with fear, Wang Ronger points accusingly at Ji, questioning how she dares to strike his people and challenging her knowledge of his father's identity. Z charges towards Wang Ronger, emphasizing that his lineage holds no significance in their impending confrontation. She asserts her intent to defeat him thoroughly until even his father cannot recognize him. Wang Ronger, overcome with emotion, implores Z to depart, warning of dire consequences if any harm befalls him, as his father would ensure she faces repercussions. However, a sudden interruption occurs. A figure emerges between them, halting Ji's assault and intervening in the escalating situation. Z registers mild surprise, having not previously noticed the presence of this intervening figure. Xiao remains a silent observer throughout the unfolding events. This enigmatic figure, known only as Nameless, serves as Wang Unger's bodyguard, currently operating at the nascent soul level. Wang Ronger's demeanor shifts to mockery, taunting his adversaries for their perceived lack of courage. He orders his bodyguard to retaliate against Ji, intending to demonstrate that all involved parties will face consequences. Ji maintains a passive stance as Wang Ronger cowers behind his bodyguard, displaying a lack of personal courage. However, the bodyguard asserts his primary duty is ensuring Wang Roger's safety, refusing to intervene in his personal disputes with others. The auction presenter interrupts, banging the gavel and demanding an explanation for the disturbance. He warns that any violation of the rules within the premises could result in immediate consequences, urging the conflicting parties to depart, as those who defy Tongji house rules are unwelcome. Wang Roger opts to withdraw, deeming it a simpler resolution. Before departing, he admonishes Zhao and the others, urging them to exercise restraint within Luoyun City to avoid further encounters. Ji seized with anger, her impulse to unleash havoc palpable, but Zhao advises restraint and calls for her withdrawal. Despite Zhao's counsel, Ji remains resentful towards Wang Roger's arrogance, expressing her discontent and reluctance to forgive his behavior. The individual from earlier inquired of Wang Roger whether they were truly considering releasing them without consequence. However, Wang Roger asserted that eluding him wouldn't be as simple. Once they departed, they would be apprehended, as such an act wouldn't violate the Tongji building's protocols. Wang Roger conveyed their intention to execute Zhao and exhibit his remains at the city entrance. Regarding the women, the circumstances would diverge upon exiting. One of Wang Roger's underlings scoured the vicinity for Xiao, but found no trace of them. Xiao concealed themselves behind a wall, focusing their magical abilities. They dispatched one of their swords to assail the trio. The bodyguard detected the sword's approach in time. Drawing his own sword, he endeavored to counter the attack. However, Xiao's assault effortlessly shattered the bodyguard's blade, striking Wang Roger directly. The blow knocked him to the ground. Xiao materializes before the trio, prompting the subordinate to vehemently confront Zhao about the alleged murder on Tianjin House's grounds. Zhao, with serene confidence, rebuffs the accusation, asserting that he strategically waited until they vacated Tianjin House before exacting vengeance, thereby adhering to their established regulations. This retort leaves the subordinate flustered and speechless. The bodyguard discards the remaining portion of his sword, symbolizing his resignation or defiance. Expressing his disdain for Wang Roger's demeanor, the bodyguard acknowledges his duty to protect him despite his personal feelings. Loyalty to Wang Roger compels the bodyguard to adhere to his sworn duty, which entails avenging any harm done to the person he safeguards. Consequently, if someone were to slay his charge, the bodyguard would be obligated to seek retribution, lest he incur the relentless pursuit of the Wang family. Thus, he prepares himself for the impending confrontation. Xiao's lips curve into a subtle smile. Surrounded by his floating swords, Xiao acknowledges the destruction of the bodyguard's weapon, yet maintains his readiness for combat. The bodyguard's skin takes on a scaly texture as he asserts his resilience, due to his beastly lineage, rendering swords ineffective against him. The situation represents a delicate balance of coexistence. Unperturbed, Zhao calmly questions the bodyguard's assertion, expressing a desire to test its validity. Initiating the test, Zhao propels his swords towards the bodyguard. Displaying swift reflexes, the bodyguard intercepts and shatters the swords with his hand. Dismissing their attempt as futile, the bodyguard breaks the swords in half. Despite the setback, Zhao maintains his composure, questioning if any of the 7 swords would prove useful. A sword materializes behind the bodyguard, catching him off guard. He attempts to grasp the sword with his bare hand. Energy erupts in all directions as the bodyguard grasps it tightly, unleashing a scream. Retrieving his sword, Zhao remarks on the damage to his hand despite catching it. Inquiring about his opponent's defense strategy for the next onslaught, Zhao presses forward. Initiating another assault, Zhao charges ahead. Acknowledging Zhao's impressive technique, the bodyguard attributes his swift healing to his beastly nature, his hand gradually regenerating and reshaping. This revelation leaves Zhao feeling uneasy. Once again, the bodyguard snatches the sword from the air, his grip firm. Locking eyes with Zhao, he asserts that mere swords won't suffice to vanquish him. The bodyguard is astounded by the extraordinary power of the Zhao sword, noting that even just holding it nearly depleted his entire strength. Another strike from Zhao would undoubtedly spell trouble for him. Observing Zhao, the bodyguard remarks that Zhao seems to have reached his limit of strength. Zhao contemplates the bodyguard's observation, acknowledging that conventional magic swords have little effect on Zhao. Zhao's acquisition of the melted core fire lotus from the system, cultivated by absorbing the purest fire element from the world, makes it ideal for weapon refinement. Seizing the opportunity, Zhao proceeds to refine his equipment. A colossal golden sword materializes before Zhao, eliciting great joy from Zhao, who remarks on its exceptional dominance. With great delight, Zhao christens the sword Blissful Fire. Returning to battle, Zhao instructs the bodyguard to enjoy his confrontation with his arrogant companion. The bodyguard attempts to defend himself with his arm. Upon impact, the bodyguard experiences excruciating pain as the sword slices through, leaving his arm severed from his body. Confused and alarmed by the nature of this fire element, the bodyguard realizes the severity of the situation. Focusing intensely, the bodyguard begins to concentrate. Erecting an energy barrier around himself, the bodyguard anticipates its imminent collapse as Shu's swords close in around him. Assessing the shield's fragility, the bodyguard acknowledges his inability to withstand further assaults. His survival appears increasingly doubtful. Noting the bodyguard's plight, Zhao declares that he isn't finished yet. Suddenly, the sword in the bodyguard's grasp trembles. It breaks free from the bodyguard's grip. With effortless precision, the sword shatters the barrier from within, leaving the bodyguard defenseless against the onslaught of swords. Yielding to defeat, the bodyguard bows his head in acceptance. He humbles himself before Zhao, acknowledging his readiness to endure any consequence. Zhao could opt to end his life or impair his cultivation at will. Zhao's response is a mere smile as he summons back all his swords effortlessly. Puzzled by Zhao's mercy, the bodyguard fails to comprehend the reason behind sparing his life. Zhao elucidates that if the bodyguard concedes defeat with sincerity, he will be spared. Despite perceiving a hint of arrogance in the bodyguard, Zhao recognizes his strength and unwavering resolve. With a brief introduction of himself as Zhao departs, extending an open invitation for a rematch should the bodyguard seek vengeance in the future. Adding a caveat, Zhao warns that failure in his mission will incur repercussions, hinting at imminent danger and advising the bodyguard to prioritize survival. The bodyguard is consumed by fear upon realizing the gravity of his situation. Zhao, accompanied by Ji and Su Muhyun, redirects their focus towards aiding Su Mohan's father, eliciting gratitude from those around them, including Zi, who admires Zhao's magnanimity. Observing the departure of the trio, the bodyguard reflects on Zi's remarkable achievements at such a young age, leaving a lasting impression. Contemplating his retreat, the bodyguard resolves to rendezvous with Zhao in the future, should he evade the pursuit by the Wang family. After a period of travel, they reach their destination, the mansion. Suji remarks on the grandeur of the mansion, reminiscing about the former prosperity of the Su family under her father's stewardship, contrasting it with its current state of decline since Su Mohan assumed control. Concerns arise about the repercussions of Wang Roger's demise, given the familial and sect affiliations of Father Wang Chang, the city lord and elder of the Luo Yun sect, hinting at potential future challenges for Xiao stemming from this altercation. Ji's anger flares, asserting her determination to ensure Wang Cheng's inability to retaliate, particularly as the Luo Yun sect remains her primary objective. Su Mohan eagerly welcomes them inside, promptly opening the door upon their arrival. Upon entering, they encounter a man seated inside, identified as Su Hongyuan, presumed to be Wu Han's second uncle, who reacts with agitation upon seeing them. He vocalizes his displeasure, punctuating his frustration by striking the chair. Her uncle berates her, questioning her audacity to return. Su Mohan is taken aback by her uncle's harsh words. Inquisitive, Su Mohan probes as to why her uncle and other clan elders are gathered. The presence of the clan elders raises suspicions for Ji, while Xiao remains vigilant, noting the unfriendly atmosphere. Tensions escalate as a woman accuses Su Mohan of treachery, insinuating that she orchestrated the sale of the Su family's assets at the Celestial Destiny Pavilion to exploit her brother's injury. Identified as Su Runaway, Mohan's third aunt confronts her, questioning her motives and actions. Su Mohan defends herself, explaining that her actions were motivated by her father's dire condition rather than personal gain, citing the purchase of the lotus to save her father's life. She retrieves the lotus from her bag, presenting it as evidence of her intentions. Expressing her satisfaction in acquiring the lotus, Su Mohan shares her joy with the gathered family members. The situation intensifies as her uncle, wielding considerable strength at the 6th level of the Golden Core, attempts to forcibly seize the lotus from her. Frightened, Su Mohan pleads with her uncle to cease his aggression. However, before Su Mohan can comprehend the unfolding events, stepping forward with all his swords poised, Xiao confronts them, daring anyone to lay a hand on Su Mohan. Witnessing Xiao's formidable power, Su Hongyuan recognizes the vast disparity between them, realizing his inability to challenge someone of Xiao's caliber. With desperation, Su Hongyuan attempts to flee from the scene by any means necessary. His escape is abruptly halted as a sword strikes the wall before him, forcing him to halt in his tracks. Surrounded by swords, Su Hongyuan finds himself trapped, unable to evade Xiao's formidable display of power. Concerned for Su Hongyuan's safety, Runaway calls out, but he warns her to tread carefully around the swords. Runaway redirects her frustration towards Su Mohan, questioning her motives and alliances with outsiders. Despite Mohan's attempt to respond, Z intervenes, advising her not to engage. Defiantly, Runaway challenges Xiao, questioning his behavior and daring him to attack. In a swift maneuver, Xiao's sword strikes near Runaway, startling her as she realizes the sudden attack. Xiao issues a stern warning, threatening lethal consequences for anyone who dares to advance further. Despite their misconduct, the others present emphasize the familial bond shared with Runaway and Su Hongyuan, admonishing the intrusion of outsiders. Mohan attempts to interject, but is interrupted by Runaway, who accuses her of ingratitude towards the family that raised her for 2 decades. Overwhelmed with emotion, Runaway cries out, questioning their accusations against her. Mo passionately defends herself, highlighting the neglect and exploitation she endured while caring for her ailing father, accusing her relatives of selfishness and betrayal. A hush falls over the room as everyone listens intently. Mohan's outcry reverberates through the silence, accusing those present of harboring ill wishes towards her father. Comforting Mohan, Z condemns her relatives as despicable beings devoid of familial love, driven solely by greed and power. Affirming her allegiance to Mohan, Z reassures her disciple that she will receive her first lesson in standing up against those who exploit and mistreat her. Xiao directs all his swords towards the trembling relatives, emphasizing the importance of confronting those who cause harm and asserting one's beliefs with conviction. Gazing at Mohan, Xiao inquires about her intentions regarding her relatives, whether to suppress or eliminate them. Mohan remains silent, contemplating her master's question. Mohan's relatives, gripped by fear, inquire about the meaning of suppression and elimination. Tearfully, Mohan expresses her desire for her master to suppress the Su family, stripping them of their cultivation while sparing their lives. Accepting Mohan's wish, Xiao pledges to fulfill it, instructing Mohan to tend to her father while entrusting the rest to him. Gratefully, Mohan kneels before her master once more, expressing her thanks. Z urges Mohan to attend to her father's needs promptly. With their business concluded, they prepare to depart. Mohan gazes at Xiao with a mixture of gratitude and admiration. Xiao closes his fan, signaling the commencement of their actions. Addressing the room, Xiao inquires who among them wishes to be the first. Identifying Su Hongyuan, Xiao designates him as the initial target. With precision, Xiao directs one of his swords towards Su Hongyuan, initiating their course of action. Their screams pierce the air in desperation. Others avert their gaze, shielding their eyes from the unfolding horror. Xiao begins to twirl his fan in a calculated manner. Meanwhile, in the background, Su Hongyuan lies motionless, his form obscured by a pool of blood. Xiao prompts the next target selection. Panic ensues among the remaining members of the Su family, who frantically flee and cry out in terror. Xiao readies his swords, observing the chaos with a sense of detachment. With resolve, he releases his swords, declaring that none shall evade his judgment. In an instant, the swords find their marks simultaneously, striking down each target. Mohan's eyes gleam with gratitude, acknowledging the unprecedented aid she has received without strings attached. Determined, Mohan and Ji depart, resolved to redouble their efforts in saving her father. Minutes later, Mohan finds herself by her father's bedside, kneeling beside him as he lies in repose. Anxious, she gazes upon her father, deeply troubled by his condition. Suddenly, Xiao and Ji enter the room, bearing news of the Su family's fate in the confinement of their cultivation. Expressing her gratitude, Mohan acknowledges the invaluable assistance provided by her master. Concerned, Ji inquires about her father's well-being. Mohan's response is tinged with sorrow, revealing that despite receiving the lotus, her father remains unconscious. Observing the distress of his new disciple, Xiao takes note of the situation. Requesting permission, Ji offers to examine him. Mohan hesitates briefly, then acquiesces, stepping aside to allow them access. Xiao places his hand on Ji's wrist, initiating his examination. Utilizing his mana, Xiao begins his examination. Xiao observes the pulse and concludes that Guan hasn't succumbed to madness. Rather, he fell victim to an assassination attempt resulting in burst veins. Xiao reassures them that Guan's intake of medicinal elixirs has mitigated the pain, but Xiao worries about the extent of the damage. Mohan reacts with panic, questioning how this could have occurred. Xiao endeavors to soothe her, assuring her of Guan's current stability. With resolve, Xiao announces his plan to reconstruct Guan's veins using his intense mana. He further explains that his proficiency in the 10,000-kilometer sword control technique has elevated his mastery of spiritual power to an advanced level. With a smile, Xiao swiftly moves his hand, channeling his mana into Ji1A's body, remarking on his enhanced ability to delicately repair tendons and veins. Suddenly, Ji1 begins to cough. Mohan's joy is palpable as she calls out to her father. Concerned, Ji inquires about Guan's condition. Guan finally awakens, calling out to his daughter. Mohan is overcome with shock and relief at her father's awakening, questioning his well-being. Guan assures her that he is fine, albeit a bit dizzy. However, a sudden recollection troubles him. He asks Mohan about Hongyuan's whereabouts and whether he had harmed her. Mohan reassures him that she is unharmed, but she becomes curious about her father's mention of Hongyuan. Guan begins to explain that in his pursuit of improving the restorative elixir formula, he sought Hongyuan's assistance after realizing he needed more cultivation to progress further. However, while Guan's attention was diverted, Hongyuan attempted to launch a surprise attack from behind, aiming to assassinate him. Ji1 underscores that he has never mistreated Hongyuan, neither in the past nor the present, yet he harbors deep-seated animosity towards him. Ji1 attributes this antipathy to their father's decision to appoint Guan as the family head. Mohan bows her head, absorbing every word her father utters with rapt attention. After Guan concludes speaking, Mohan vents her hatred by striking the bed forcefully. Asserting her conviction, Mohan confirms that the assailant was indeed her uncle, Hongyuan. Meanwhile, Xiao considers that the restorative elixir Guan mentioned might be of the third level, presenting a viable opportunity to enhance Mohan's skills in alchemy. Turning to Guan, Xiao requests the recipe he had mentioned earlier, prompting Guan to inquire about Xiao's identity. Rising to her feet, Mohan introduces Xiao, identifying him as Elder Qiao from the Hong Kong Sect and her new mentor. She underscores that it was Xiao's intervention that enabled her father to awaken. Ji Yuan and Xiao exchange greetings, and Guan expresses his gratitude to Xiao for rescuing both Mohan and himself, expressing joy at his daughter's newfound opportunity. Standing up, G1 taps twice on the wall, and a hidden compartment emerges containing the recipe. Mohan marvels at this concealed storage and inquires about its installation, to which Guan reveals its age, having been previously used to store loan documents. Gesturing towards the recipe, Guan declares it to be the essence of his life and family. Grateful for Xiao's assistance in their time of need, Guan offers the recipe to him. Accepting the formula, Xiao inquires if Guan had failed to complete it. G1 bows his head, admitting that regrettably, Guan was on the brink of completing it before being interrupted by his brother Hongyuan. However, Xiao reassures them that the formula can be salvaged by adding a touch of yellow field herb. In that moment, everything falls into place in Mohan's mind. The realization dawns on her. She had overlooked the significance of the yellow field herb. How had it eluded her for so long? The system opens, announcing that under the host's guidance, the disciple has grasped the enhanced formula of the second-level advanced recovery pill, elevating her alchemy heart talent to the mysterious tier. With a tenfold increase in rewards, the host's alchemy heart talent ascends to the celestial realm. At the celestial level, the pill success rate skyrockets by 99%, and the formula's compression improves by 30%. Xiao observes this development, noting how the heightened compression index sparks fresh insights into numerous acquired formulas. G1 grasps Mohan's hand, expressing disbelief at the burden she endured alone for so long. Mohan explains her struggle, lamenting her inability to earn enough to sustain her father's medicine, resulting in the mortgaging of their family pharmacy and jeopardizing the SU family's survival. Suddenly, Xiao interjects with an idea, capturing Mohan and Guan's attention. Xiao tosses a bag of money their way, proposing a plan to revitalize the entire elixir store. He suggests recruiting alchemy apprentices under lifelong contracts, stipulating that they produce pills and elixirs without disclosing the formulas. Mohan and Guan exchange puzzled glances as Xiao elaborates further, outlining consequences for non-compliance or breach of contract, hinting at a less amicable resolution. Xiao gazes coldly, anticipating the imminent revelation of their power. Urging efficiency, Xiao delegates pill and elixir production to Mulan, while he and Z attend to Hongyuan. She bids farewell to Mohan with a smile. Observing this interaction, Z1 questions his daughter about her master's integrity, to which Mohan affirms positively. Meanwhile, in the dungeon, Hongyuan is chained and trembling, seeking answers about their intentions. Xiao's smile encourages her to hasten, as if she can't control the key to her sword. Escape seems impossible with the countless blades poised around them. Z focuses intensely, gradually forming them one by one until they reach a staggering 10,000 swords. This formidable array is dubbed the Wan Li sword. Surrounding Z, the swords all converge menacingly on Hongyuan, who lies on the ground, consumed by fear. Z is drenched in sweat from the exertion of conjuring so many blades. However, Zhao offers no respite, commending her efforts but urging her to consolidate them into a single sword. He smiles, expressing faith in Ji's abilities. This fills Ji with determination and excitement. She concentrates and declares her belief in her own capability. A sphere of mana materializes at the tip of her finger, and suddenly, a colossal sword manifests directly above her hand. Z turns to Xiao with a triumphant grin, announcing her success. Xiao returns the smile, acknowledging that with this feat alone, they are well equipped to confront the Luoyun sect. While they converse, Hongyuan trembles in fear, pressed against the wall, witnessing the spectacle. As the immense sword looms threateningly, Hongyuan's screams fill the air, pleading for mercy. Seated calmly in a chair, Xiao questions Hongyuan, probing whether he had ever considered this outcome when he attempted Guan's life. She then turns to Ji, urging her to conclude the ordeal. Ji launches her attack, but Hongyuan manages to evade. Xiao summons the assassin for assistance, deeming Ji's attempt insufficient. Ji bristles with frustration, but Xiao reassures her that there's no need to rush. They have ample time. Despite Z's subsequent attempts, she continues to miss her mark. This pattern persists for several more tries. 30 minutes later, with numerous marks scarring the walls, Hong Yusen's lifeless body lies in a pool of blood. The system notification appears, indicating that the disciple has successfully grasped the Wanli sword control technique. As a reward, the host receives 10 times the benefits of the single sword control technique, along with the acquisition of the flexible finger sword, an item of the highest quality at ground level. Zhao rises, contemplating his newfound possession of flexible swords. With the added ability to merge them into one, he feels confident that even if he were caught off guard, it wouldn't pose a problem. Xiao reflects that this process seems much simpler than personal cultivation. He summons Ji to inquire if Mulan requires assistance, a sentiment Z echoes. Meanwhile, within the city mansion of Lord Luo Yun, an air of eerie quiet reigns. Inside the hall, three individuals kneel beside a figure shrouded in white cloth, reporting to their lord the tragic demise of young master Wang Roger. The news elicits a visceral reaction from the lord, who clenches his fist tightly and bellows in frustration. He berates his attendants, branding them as worthless for failing to protect his son, threatening dire consequences if the perpetrator's head isn't delivered promptly. His words leave them frozen in fear. Summoning his courage, one of them attributes Wang Roger's demise to Zhao, an elder of the Hong Kong sect. Even Will Ming fell to Xiao's skill with ease, making any retaliation seem futile. The Lord's anxiety intensifies, labeling them as incompetent. He, currently at the 7th level of the Golden Core, exudes a dense, formidable aura that sends the men reeling backward. They plead for forgiveness, claiming helplessness in the face of Zhao's prowess. The Lord ponders his own evaluation of his son's personal bodyguard. If Zhao indeed defeated Will Ming effortlessly, his strength surpasses anything the Lord could contend with. With purposeful strides, the Lord departs. With a forceful kick, he ejects one of the men present, ordering them to vacate the premises. He concludes that the only recourse to avenge his son, Wang Roger, is to seek assistance from the Luo Yuan sect. Setting off, he declares his intention to visit the Lower Yuan sect and instructs the men there to dispatch invitations to all the city's nobles, including the Su family. Fuming with anger, the Lord vows retribution for his son's death, swearing to dismember Xiao as his ultimate punishment. Meanwhile, within the confines of the Su family residence, an invitation arrives, extending a cordial summons to the Su family for an evening banquet at the Wang family's estate to address the family's predicament. Xiao Muhyun and Jia convene at the table. Ji expresses skepticism about the invitation, suspecting it to be a ploy orchestrated by the Hongmeng sect. Rising to his feet, Ji asserts the need to depart the city immediately and proceed directly to the Luo Yun sect. Once outside the city, they can assess the Wang family's intentions. Xiao deliberates briefly before determining they must accept the invitation, citing the necessity of attendance. Ji gestures emphatically, questioning the decision. Xiao lays a reassuring hand on his shoulder, remarking that he's heard rumors of young Chang's presence at the banquet. He questions his beautiful disciple if she truly desires vengeance. At the mention of the name, her anger flares. She sinks into her seat, visibly agitated, inquiring if the traitor will indeed be in attendance. Mohan, taken aback by Ji's uncharacteristic demeanor, watches in shock. Xiao unfurls his fan. Locking eyes with Ji, he asserts the newfound power of Yun Cheng's loyal faction, a force not to be underestimated. Previously, capturing him would not have been so straightforward. Standing up now, she initiates a conversation. Proposing the idea of stirring up a bit of chaos at the banquet, she turns to Ji, who, visibly anxious, pledges her allegiance to her master's wishes. Mohan observes this interaction, anticipating potential harm. Out of the blue, Xiao redirects his attention to Muan, inquiring about the progress of the pill and elixir factory matter. Mohan, taken aback, assures him of the smooth progress, highlighting their acquisition of the old 17 pill factories of the Su family and the ongoing recruitment of alchemy apprentices, as well as the successful sale of recovery pills earlier that afternoon, generating a profit of 5,000 lower-grade spirit stones from the sale of 50 bottles. Pausing to ponder, Zhao expresses concern over the modest quantity of 50 bottles sold. Inquiring if Mohan has analyzed the reasons behind this, he receives an affirmative response. Confidently, Mohan explains that the primary purpose of the Huizhou and pill elixirs is to clear the mind and regulate internal energy, limiting their applications. She attributes the low sales to it being the first day of test sales. Retrieving some recently created recipes from beneath his clothing, Zhao instructs Mohan to study and keep these third-level improved elixir recipes, promising to review the sales report later. Zhao discreetly retrieves a set of recipes from within his clothing. Handing over the recipes, Zhao advises Mohan to familiarize herself with them, particularly emphasizing their significance. Enthralled by the prospect of these third-level recipes, Mohan's eyes gleam with delight. Delving into the recipes, Mohan identifies an improved golden core pill with significantly enhanced healing properties, estimating its potential for successful sales. While embracing the recipes bestowed upon her by her master, Mohan reflects on his affinity for wealth and his belief in its abundance, envisioning the realization of his dream of a prosperous life. As night descends, guests begin to arrive at the City Lord's mansion. Welcomed personally by the City Lord, Yuan is accompanied by Zhou, receiving a warm greeting upon their arrival. Upon hearing of Guan's illness, the City Lord expressed his concern. Unexpectedly, following Z1's recovery, the Su family's business flourished. Behind the Lord stood a red-haired man, his smile raising suspicion. Yuan smiled in gratitude towards Lord Chang, while Xiao observed silently. Chang acknowledged the rumors, identifying himself as the man who aided the Su family's recovery and took Mohan as a disciple in Alchemy Level 3. Xiao expressed gratitude towards Lord Chang's kindness. The red-haired man initially questioned Xiao's presence, but then speculated it was part of a plan. The City Lord personally invited elders from the Golden Cow Sect to assist. Everyone donned their guest attire, awaiting in the banquet hall. Master Wang discreetly ordered for Xiao's assassination. Suddenly, a girl appeared with Xiao. The red-haired man noticed the girl's striking resemblance to someone from the past, deeming it improbable. Recollecting witnessing Ji's fall from Lin Guo's men, he dismissed the possibility. Chang summoned them to enter as the banquet commenced. Cheng mentioned Xiao's remarkable achievement of reaching the 5th level of the Golden Core at a young age. Cheng praised Xiao's potential and his 2 promising disciples, while the red-haired man acknowledged the Su family's luck in having Xiao as Mohan's master. Onlookers admired Xiao's talent. Xiao, slightly intoxicated, expressed his gratitude amidst laughter. He reached for another glass. He clarifies that there's a misunderstanding regarding his strength. He's actually at the 3rd level of the Golden Core. The appearance of being at the 5th level is due to Z's intervention. Displaying one of his swords, he attributes his success to it, noting its exceptional power. Smiling, he credits the sword for emboldening him to descend from the mountain. Mohan observes silently, while Ji urges caution, advising him not to reveal his treasure so openly. Cheng expresses gratitude for Xiao's kindness and instructs his men to bring the gift. Privately, Cheng contemplates the inconvenience of verifying her identity, considering himself a fool for such thoughts. Zhao's attention is drawn to the chest's arrival, sparking curiosity about its contents. Cheng admires Xiao and presents a generous gift, hoping to foster friendship. The gift contains numerous spirit stones. Yao, dazzled by the stones, eagerly grabs them, prompting Ji's attempt to intervene. Xiao enthusiastically distributes the stones, suggesting purchases for the sect and themselves, inadvertently spending millions. Zhao frets about explaining the expenditure to the sect, then expresses gratitude to Mr. Cheng. Cheng considers it an honor to help, speculating about Zhao's supposed wealth and lineage. Acknowledging Xiao's reputation as a great master, Cheng suggests a friendly match between disciples for amusement. Extending his hand, Cheng proposes the challenge to Ji, seeking her acceptance. Xiao, delighted by the chest's contents, readily agrees to the challenge. He then asks Ji to participate, despite Zi's evident annoyance. Cheng acknowledges Xiao's quick wit and applauds Zhao's choice. He suggests raising the stakes to prolong the game. Offering an additional 10 million low-ranking stones if Ji wins, Cheng tempts her. Xiao finds the offer enticing. Xiao, having exhausted his funds, queries Cheng about making an equivalent bet. With a brilliant idea in mind, Xiao summons his sword. He proposes betting his sword in the match. Cheng agrees without hesitation. Using magic, Cheng erects a shield around the bet's treasures, emphasizing that no one should touch them until the results are known. Xiao reassures everyone and entrusts Ji with the outcome, urging her not to dishonor her master. Mohan encourages Ji to proceed cautiously, assuring her readiness. Cheng insists that Xiao and Ji should fight first, intending to toy with her abilities. He readies his sword for the duel. The 2 opponents face each other as the contest commences. Z initiates the attack with her swords. Xiao deflects her assault by slamming his sword onto the ground. Ji's attack effortlessly shatters Zhao's sword, leaving him impressed and intimidated. With 3 swords poised near Zhao's throat, Ji halts her assault. Defeated, Zhao sighs and apologizes to his master. Xiao bursts into laughter, mocking their inability to withstand Ji's simple attack, deeming them weak. Others present disapprove of Zhao's remarks, finding them rude, but attribute it to his inebriation. Young Chang, the red-haired man, observes the situation with displeasure, contemplating giving the spoiled individual a bit more time. Chang reassures the gathering, likening the situation to a competition with winners and losers. He acknowledges the guards' previous praise of the master and disciples' swordsmanship, but now sees them as merely that. Xiao rushes to claim the winnings from the bet, expressing gratitude towards Master Cheng for his integrity and generosity, feeling enriched by their newfound wealth. He impulsively offers to bet his sword again, along with all his possessions, much to Chang's satisfaction. Chang announces the turn of the ghost voice. The ghost voice apologizes and approaches Ji. Cheng, smiling confidently, believes his niece, who trained in Luo Jun, to be unbeatable in swordsmanship. He anticipates victory over the foolish disciple as the fight begins. Cheng is astonished by what he witnesses. Ji consolidates 1,000 swords into one. She launches her attack once more. The ghost voice is defenseless against this unprecedented force. She ponders the impossibility of defending against 1,000 swords becoming one. Admitting defeat, she screams. Falling to her knees, the ghost voice acknowledges Ji's impressive mastery of immense power. Ji remains silent as Cheng declares victory for Master Xiao and his disciple, though they observe Ji's exhaustion. Amidst the winnings, Ji laughs excessively, dismissing their significance as useless. Xiao celebrates enthusiastically, urging another round of betting. Young Chang observes Xiao's evident happiness and acknowledges his disciple's remarkable talent for condensing 1,000 into one, considering her a genius for her age. Cheng admires Xiao's fortune in having such a gifted disciple. Chang remarks that this favorable situation is only temporary. Suddenly, a figure leaps from behind Chang towards Zi. The strike lands on her abdomen, causing her to cough up blood upon impact. Recognizing the attack as a technique of the Luo Yun sect, the assailant swiftly moves again. Lunging forward, he catches Ji midair. Ji coughs and apologizes to her master for the fall, but Xiao reassures her with a smile. Xiao sees this intervention as their ace in the hole. Concerned, Mohan inquires about Ji's well-being, but Zi, exhausted, doesn't respond. The victor Liang taunts Ji for her swift defeat, identifying herself as an elder of the loyal insect sect. Overwhelmed, Xiao relinquishes his possessions with despair, while Mohan comforts Ji, who is deeply upset. Xiao laments his loss and worries about explaining it to the sect upon his return. He challenges Chang to another contest. Cheng agrees to compete again, but raises the issue of Xiao having nothing left to wager. Xiao, with a steely gaze, proposes betting his life. Some deem this proposal as sheer madness. Yun Cheng shows excitement at the prospect, while Cheng warns Xiao not to expect leniency in settling the debt, curious to see Ji's capabilities without her sword. Xiao asserts his determination, unleashing his power and reassuring Cheng that he won't retreat from the bet. A massive sword materializes behind him, indicating his unwavering resolve. As a hand forms to grip the enormous sword, Xiao emphasizes that upon victory, Cheng will not only return all his fortune, but also forfeit his life. Liang marvels at the sight before her, 1,000,000 swords condensed into one. Xiao initiates his attack. Liang braces herself. She prepares to defend. However, her sword shatters like a brittle branch. The sword slices through Liang. She screams in disbelief at the extraordinary power wielded by Xiao. Despite her bleeding wounds, Liang refuses to accept defeat, clinging to the strength of her master's sword, which should have been impervious to such an attack. Frightened, she questions the origin of this man with inexplicable strength. Xiao continues his relentless assault. He strikes Liang once more, eliciting another anguished cry. Cheng, taken aback by the spectacle, rushes to Liang's side, inquiring about her condition, but she remains silent. Cheng's frustration mounts. Xiao remarks on Cheng's allegiance to the loyal insect sect. Liang offers no response to Cheng's inquiries. Cheng, now angered, confronts Xiao, who reveals Cheng's affiliation with the loyal insect sect. Xiao materializes his sword once more and explains to Cheng the prestigious status required to learn the lure palm technique within the loyal insect sect, while Cheng absorbs the information silently. Considering the idea of immediately dispatching Cheng, Xiao pauses to contemplate. Witnessing Liang's humiliation at Xiao's hands, Cheng scans the other fighters and urges them to seize the opportunity to attack. Encouraged by Cheng's call to action, the fighters converge on Xiao, eager for their chance to engage. Mohan remains by Ji's side, observing the escalating conflict with fascination, impressed by the number of adversaries ready to confront them. Amidst the commotion, Xiao remains stationary in the middle of the hall as the other combatants advance towards him. Xiao breaks into hearty laughter and applauds, remarking on the collective prowess of the fighters, noting that they all belong to the Golden Core realm, acknowledging Cheng's preparation for the confrontation. Suddenly adopting a serious demeanor, Xiao addresses the crowd, regretting that he can only dispatch 30 Golden Core cultivators single-handedly on this occasion. He firmly plants his foot on the ground. A magical circle materializes beneath him, lifting his swords into the air. Observing Zhao's stance, Cheng criticizes him for his arrogance, asserting that defeating 30 Golden Core cultivators simultaneously is an impossible feat. Cheng acknowledges that Xiao has a secret weapon, the shadow of the Luo Yun sword, obtained with the Sect leader's approval before his departure from the mountain. Ji senses a powerful aura upon witnessing the appearance of the sword shadow. Cheng unleashes a primal scream as he wields the sword, its celestial-level potency enhanced over the years by his master's blood, potent enough to slay a nascent soul cultivator, even in its shadow form. Z detects the sword's energy and recognizes its significance, believing it to be connected to the stolen sword from the Lin family, forged with the blood of numerous Lin family members during the massacre by the Luo Yun sect. Recalling the tragic events of the Lin family massacre, Z reflects on the sword's history, believing she can still sense her blood on its blade after all these years. Placing her hand on her chest and bowing her head, Z feels a sense of disgrace as the sword is referred to as the Luo Yuan sword. Concerned for Ji's well-being, Mohan inquires about her condition. Upon hearing Mohan's concern, Xiao reflects on the conditions for awakening Zi's innate body sword, recalling that reaching the Foundation realm and gaining recognition from the Lin family's ancestral king were necessary prerequisites. With determination, Cheng propels the sword shadow forward, intending to humble young Master Xiao. The sword hurtles toward Zhao at remarkable speed. Unfazed, Zhao maintains a composed demeanor, expressing gratitude to Cheng for his demonstration and discussion regarding the sword's origins. Despite the sword shadow's proximity to Zhao, he remains calm. Zhao effortlessly summons his sword with a flick of his fingers. Observing Zhao's retrieval of the sword, Cheng grows infuriated, believing it was previously lost in their wagers. Upon inspecting the treasures, Cheng realizes both swords are still present, further fueling his anger at Zhao's possession of two swords. As Xiao positions his sword, he contemplates the formidable power of the shadow of the Luo Yuan sword, deeming it worthy of being a celestial-level divine weapon. He reflects on the transformative influence of the sword domain, which enhances any sword wielded within it. Xiao exclaims, inviting everyone to witness the true might of the sword domain. He hurls his sword toward the sword shadow, and the two weapons clash in midair. Despite initial resistance, the flexible finger sword begins to penetrate the sword shadow's energy field. The collision culminates in a massive explosion. Abruptly, the Xiao sword emerged from the swirling smoke, unblemished. Unfurling his fan, he derisively questioned if their efforts were truly so feeble, finding the situation increasingly dull. He had yet to experience even a flicker of amusement. All the cultivators lay defeated before him, save for Cheng cradling Liang. Cheng glanced back, pondering the existence of such a formidable foe. His only thought was to escape as swiftly as possible. Zhao, however, observed Cheng's intent to flee. Whirling around, he unleashed a barrage of swords, challenging Cheng's belief in his ability to escape. Cheng turned back, pleading for his life. But it was too late. Xiao dispatched Cheng without hesitation, blood staining the surroundings. Yun Cheng began to rise, trembling violently, and upon glancing aside witnessed Cheng's demise, filling him with terror. Suddenly Xiao and Ji halted before him. Yun Cheng collapsed in fear at the sight of them. He screamed for them to stay away, begging for his life. Xiao pressed down on Yun Cheng's leg, causing him intense agony. Xiao remarked that while he desired it, he wouldn't be the one to end his life. Z approached, wielding her sword with determination, addressing Yun Cheng as uncle and asking if he remembered her. Trembling and fearful, Yun Cheng questioned if she was truly Lindsay. Unable to accept it, he screamed in disbelief. Without hesitation, Z cleaved Yun Cheng in two with a single strike, affirming that his disbelief was correct, and as a reward, he would receive death. Zhao summons Jie and affectionately strokes her head, praising her performance but advising against such brutal sword use in the future. He explains the importance of ensuring enemies experience prolonged suffering, suggesting the use of a blunt blade for greater pain and a slower demise. Z expresses gratitude for the lesson learned. Mohan's father is taken aback by Xiao's teachings, noting his sincerity. Mohan agrees with her father. Xiao informs Mohan that Mr. Chung has lost his entire fortune to him, entrusting her with the responsibility of managing everything while he accompanies Ji to visit the loyal insect. Mohan accepts, assuring them that they can rely on her. Meanwhile, in the house of the leader at the lower Yun sect, Yuan is casting magic on the sword stolen from the Lin family. He begins to laugh, feeling prepared as the final soul of the Luo Yuan sword is about to submit to him after 10 years. The success or failure of 10 years' work hinges on this crucial moment. He directs a wave of energy towards the sword. As the compressed energy within begins to emerge, the sword trembles and is flung backward. Rising, he places a hand on his chest, sensing he hasn't fully mastered the sword, wondering why it suddenly rejected him. Suddenly, cries from outside announce that the soul lamps of senior sister Lu, Yu, Wang Wenchang, and Yun Cheng have been extinguished. The leader is incredulous. He swiftly rises, opening the door to inquire about the commotion. Meanwhile, the sword's energy begins to move, leaving the room, passing through the window, traversing the entire sect until it reaches a person hiding behind a rock. This person is Ji, focused on locating the sword. Xiao observes and remarks on the ancestral sword of the Lin family being infused with their essence and blood, noting Zi's ability to sense it through blood, a revelation he finds astonishing. Once he finishes, Xiao inquires about the situation. Z responds with a smile, acknowledging the impact of the sword. It appears the lower Yun sect still struggles to master it. Z mentions leaving her spiritual consciousness within the sword, confident that once located she can tame it. She expresses her agreement. With all preparations complete, they plan to launch a full-scale assault on the Luoyang sect. As she readies herself for the task, during Yuan's inspection of the candles, his frustration is evident. He blames Chang for the current predicament, recalling how Chang had attributed his son's death to a wandering cultivator. This led to summoning the shadow of the Luo Yuan sword and 30 Golden Corpse elders, only to face embarrassment when they were all defeated by a lone opponent. Despite their significant numbers and resources, they were humiliated. Wan Yen queries a witness for information, learning only of Elder Cheng's failed attempt to engage their enemies. Yuan's anger boils over, leading him to condemn their incompetence in the face of overwhelming odds. Yuan's frustration peaks as he pounds the table. He berates them for their ineptitude despite their numerical superiority. Turning to his comrades, he demands heightened vigilance and fortification, fearing imminent attack. Meanwhile, Xiao and Ji analyze the defensive measures of the Luo Yuan sect, noting the formidable mountain formations. Ji grasps her sword, questioning the possibility of breaking through. She receives confirmation that it's indeed feasible, albeit with considerable noise and attention. Xiao suggests maintaining a low profile until they secure the Lin family sword, proposing an alternative plan. He proceeds to outline the entire strategy to Ji, who is taken aback by its ingenuity. Together, they set the plan in motion. Upon encountering Yuan and his companions, Ji's distress is evident as she reveals the grim news. Elder Yun Cheng and Elder Lin have been slain. Yuan inquires about their identities. Xiao, disheveled, discloses Ji's true lineage as the illegitimate daughter of Master Yun Cheng, with himself serving as her protector. He recounts the night of Yun Cheng's murder, discovered at the Wang family's residence. Yuan, suspicious, unleashes a small burst of energy. This energy grazes Ji's arm, drawing blood. He collects the blood on a destiny letter belonging to young Chang, aiming to confirm their connection. The results confirm Ji's ties to young Chang. Yuan, slightly calmer but vigilant, demands an explanation for their presence on the mountain. Xiao bows respectfully, invoking Wen Yuan's name, citing their pursuit of a mysterious assailant responsible for the massacre of 30 Golden Core elders and the city lord's demise. Seeking refuge, they turn to the Luo Yuan sect. Ji interjects, recounting her father Yun Cheng's plight with the sect master and the Lin family sword. She reveals a traditional method of sword refinement within the Lin family, demonstrating its potential for healing. Highlighting the Lin family's generational expertise in swordcraft, Z offers her own blood as proof of its unique properties in soothing sword-related wounds. When observing this, it's evident that she possesses knowledge even about the Lin family sword's embryo. Upon request to demonstrate the mentioned methods, Ji stresses the absence of any attempt at deception. As Yuan unleashes his energy, he warns of the repercussions if any action is attempted against them. Z assures there's no issue and encourages him to attempt it, resulting in her blood seeping from her arm. Subsequently, her blood travels through Yuan's body. Closing his eyes, Yuan reflects on truly sensing the internal wounds inflicted by the Luo Yuan sword beginning to heal. After this, Yuan turns around and extends an invitation for them to enter. As Xiao embraces Jia and they proceed to enter, Yuan lingers behind to confer with one of his followers regarding the investigation into Elder Chang's incident. Observing this, Xiao perceives it as a genuine opportunity, while Yuan instructs to reduce the scrutiny of Elder Chang's incident and make arrangements for Xiao and Ji's accommodation. Xiao recognizes this as a tangible chance. Throughout the night, Xiao and Angie are engaged in training within the training room, enveloped in a substantial energy field. The primary focus is for Z to attain the first level of foundation creation, during which Zhao transfers 200 days of cultivation to Ji, facilitating her breakthrough to the first level of foundation creation. The system acknowledges the transfer of 200 days of cultivation from the host to his disciple and rewards him with triple the amount, granting 600 days of cultivation. Xiao informs Ji that she has now reached the cultivation level of the first level of foundation creation and anticipates awakening her innate body sword upon acquiring the Lin family's sword embryo. Perplexed, Z inquires about the innate body sword, to which Xiao casually assures him it's nothing significant and suggests proceeding with the plan. Subsequently, they exit the chamber and ascend to the rooftop. Xiao queries Ji about her ability to locate the sword. Z reassures him, asserting there's no cause for concern. Trusting her, Xiao urges her to lead the way. They commence their advance together. Upon reaching a residence, they encounter a guard stationed there, completely unconscious and asleep. She explains that their lowered auras render them undetectable to anyone below the nascent soul realm, alleviating any worry. After securing the entrance, they eventually uncover the sword. Xiao instructs Ji to begin refining the sword calmly, assuring her protection from any potential threats. Z positions herself near the sword, seated on the ground, channeling her energy towards it, directing it onto the sword's surface. This action triggers a response from the sword, releasing waves of energy. One of these waves inadvertently strikes Li, causing her injury. She surmises that the sword still holds the spiritual consciousness of the loyal insect leader. At that moment, the guard awakens, questioning the disturbance. Swiftly, the man seizes an object and shatters it in his hand, signaling for assistance. Xiao, incensed, reflects on the impossibility of concealing the truth. Drawing his swords, he resolves to confront the situation head-on. Meanwhile, as Yan journeyed atop his sword, he spun around in alarm upon sighting the signal, fearing an attempt to steal his Luo Yuan sword, a clear act of hostility. Responding swiftly to the signal, several men arrived, announcing the encirclement and demanding the identity of the audacious intruder within the Luo Yuan sect. Stepping outside, he regretfully declared that today, no one would be granted entry to the building without his explicit permission. Xiao gestured with his fan towards the gathered individuals, suggesting they could engage in collective combat if they wished. Directing his swords towards the men, Xiao initiated the confrontation. In response, the men conjured magical circles, questioning Xiao's arrogance. Despite their proficiency solely in sword abilities, they launched attacks that swiftly destroyed ancestral weapons with just one blow. Observing this, Zhao smiled, recalling a previous encounter where he had dispatched 30 golden cultivators, underestimating them as inebriated and incompetent. However, judging by their current prowess, he concluded that the Luo Yuan sect was lacking. Hearing this, despair washed over the men as they realized the capability of the man before them. Ascending into the air, Xiao became surrounded by overwhelming energy. Asserting his identity as Zhao Xuan from the Nunli sect, he gazed into the eyes of all present, challenging any survivors of the Luo Yuan sect to face him in the future. Disbelieving, one cultivator questioned Xiao's affiliation, suggesting the non-only sect was the only comparable entity within a 10-kilometer radius. Ordering everyone to attack, he commanded the capture of the intruder within the sect. Grinning appreciatively, she commends them for their bravery, promising to make it worth their while. Initiating her assault, she effortlessly manipulates her swords, striking each cultivator individually, eliciting cries of pain and pleas for mercy. Surrounded by swirling swords, Xiao approaches the fallen cultivators, wielding a massive blade, and questions if they've truly exhausted their efforts. With a deranged expression, he remarks that he hasn't even unleashed his full power yet. The cultivator leader lying on the ground defiantly gestures towards Xiao, warning that the leader of the Luo Yun sect will arrive soon to exact vengeance. Chuckling, Xiao sheathes his swords, halting his attack, and announces his readiness to await their leader's arrival. Moments later, distant screams herald the arrival of someone. Spotting Yuan, the sect leader, hurtling towards him in a fury, Xiao braces for the impending confrontation. Ready to resume the battle, Xiao remarks on the unexpected swiftness of Yuan's arrival. Engaging defensively, Xiao clashes swords with Yuan. However, as Yuan's sword begins to breach Xiao's defenses, a brilliant flash interrupts their clash, separating them momentarily. Locking eyes with Xiao, Yuan accuses the intruders from the non-only sect of daring to trespass upon the sacred grounds of the Luo Yun sect. Xiao readies his swords once more, retorting that the Luo Yuan sect is worthless, as evidenced by the ease with which a single man defeated all their elders. Isn't that right? As Yuan prepares for action, Xiao initiates a series of diverse movements, inviting Yuan to counter his attack. The swords dart forth with remarkable speed, leaving a trail of motion in their wake. Firmly gripping his sword, Yuan braces himself for the impending clash. With a resounding yell, Yuan deflects Zhao's dual sword assault with a single blow, demanding to know how Xiao dares to insult the Luo Yuan sect. Attempting to taunt Xiao for his arrogance, Yuan swiftly evades Xiao's retaliation. Observing Yuan's sword, Xiao acknowledges its exceptional quality, likely at the pinnacle of cultivation. Reflecting on Elder Wenchuan's movements, Xiao speculates on the potential impact of Yuan's years of refining the divine sword with his blood, perhaps hindering his advancement. Recalling his swords, Xiao contemplates the need for Z to master his own sword swiftly. Numerous swords materialize around Xiao. Yuan ponders whether this phenomenon constitutes sword qi and if it can be manifested physically. Observing the increasing number of swords, Yuan realizes their formidable power, recognizing them as of the highest caliber. However, upon further observation, Yuan is overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of swords, tens of thousands appearing before him. This transcends mere sword technique. It is a supreme divine skill. Yuan acknowledges that what he faces is not merely a sword technique, but a supreme divine skill. Assessing the enormity of Zhao's power, Yuan realizes that confronting him directly would be futile, considering alternative strategies. Plunging his sword into the ground, Yuan channels energy through it, directing it towards the shield protecting the loyal insect. In a desperate plea, Yuan shouts that his only recourse is to activate the formidable protective formation of the mountain, recognizing the formidable nature of the loyal insect. Suddenly, a massive surge of energy hurtles towards Xiao, momentarily startling him. However, he effortlessly evades the attack. Glancing to the side, he observes the immense crater left by the energy beam. Xiao remarks on the enduring potency of the mountain protector of the Luo Yuan sect, despite being abandoned by its founder a century prior. Reflecting on the close call, Xiao realizes the gravity of the situation had the attack landed, prompting him to exercise greater caution. Abruptly, a vibrant pink energy beam pierces the sky, capturing everyone's attention. Xiao recognizes it as the culmination of Z's mastery of the sword. A system notification confirms Z's achievement in activating the terrestrial level innate body sword, rewarding Xiao with the celestial level innate body sword talent. Closing his eyes, Xiao revels in the sensation of the innate body sword's power, feeling a heightened connection to the essence of sword energy permeating the world. The influx of sword energy intensifies, accumulating within Xiao's body as he hovers in the air. Yuan, witnessing this, fears that Xiao is on the brink of a significant breakthrough. With time running short, Yuan begins to summon his strength, weaving energy circles in preparation. Another surge of blue energy manifests, signaling the imminent climax of the confrontation. Yuan's eyes gleam with anticipation as he urges Xiao to unleash his full power, eager to witness the extent of his advancement. Unexpectedly, the energy circles conjured by Yuan begin to dissipate, leaving him bewildered and apprehensive. Despite his attempts to recreate them, the mountain's protection remains unresponsive, prompting questions about the loss of control. Xiao strides forward, exuding overwhelming energy, and asserts that Yuan is unfit to lead. Above them, a formidable sword materializes, crackling with immense power. As Xiao forges his own sword, he declares that the true loyal sword lies hidden within the mountain's protective formation. Yet Yuan seeks to steal an unreformed sword embryo from the Lin family. Xiao's sword nears completion. With righteous indignation, Xiao condemns Yuan's willingness to sacrifice blood essence to nurture the sword embryo, deeming it despicable and unworthy of a sect leader. At last, Xiao's sword is fully formed. Suddenly, a colossal hand descends, wielding the immense sword now under Zhao's control. He proclaims Yuan's immorality and declares the Luo Yuan sword his own, vowing to claim it as punishment. Directing his attack towards Yuan, Xiao demands retribution for the Lin family's deaths, insisting that life be repaid with life. Despite pleas for mercy, Xiao's single strike obliterates everything in its path, instantly slaying Yuan and cleaving the mountain in two. Trembling, the onlookers witness the overwhelming power Xiao wields, capable of sundering the mountain. Addressing the crowd, Xiao demands accountability from all who partook in the Lin family massacre, ordering them to sever their own limbs and depart. Failure to comply will result in Xiao taking matters into his own hands. The threat looms over the entire Yuan sect. Death. Members come to the realization that they are powerless against such a formidable adversary. Some break down in tears, pleading for mercy, stating their innocence. In a desperate bid for safety, one member sacrifices his own limb, offering to pay the price. Others follow suit, maiming themselves in a desperate attempt to protect their families. Xiao ceases his onslaught and allows the members to depart. As they leave, he reflects on the inevitability of suffering in the face of death. He observes that none of them showed mercy when they perpetrated massacres against others' families. Z jubilantly announces her successful conquest of the sword embryo, christening it Lacquer. Delighted, she explains how this accomplishment has eased her cultivation and enhanced her understanding of sword energy. Xiao commends her achievements, speculating that her newfound proficiency may be attributed to awakening the innate body sword. Surveying the aftermath of the battle, Z inquires about the destruction. Xiao confirms the demise of the Luo Yuan sect leader and suggests that they seize control of the Luo Yuan sect. Z is taken aback, questioning Xiao's loyalty to the Hongmeng sect. Xiao gestures for discretion, revealing his intention to orchestrate their plans clandestinely. He explains his strategy of maintaining control from the shadows while delegating tasks to the Su family. With urgency, Xiao instructs Ji to depart, indicating the need to address matters swiftly. Upon returning to Luoyang City, Xiao aided the Su family in seizing control. Despite dissatisfaction from the Wang family, their loss left them powerless to object, mourning the death of Mr. Chung. Leveraging the resources of the Luo Yuan sect, the Su family established dominion over Luo Yuan City. Implementing a system akin to horse-drawn urban buses, they charged a fee of $02 per ride, catalyzing the city's economic growth. During their downtime, Xiao bestowed additional initiations upon Ji and Muon, both of whom had ascended to the foundation creation level. Z exhibited remarkable energy manipulation skills, advancing to the second level of foundation creation. Mohan diligently absorbed Xiao's teachings, demonstrating adept control over her energy, currently at the first level of foundation creation. Following these endeavors, Xiao allowed himself some well-deserved rest. While Mohan reviewed pharmacy reports, Z provided company, noting the popularity of the Golden Core Elixir among cultivators, with daily sales projections reaching 10,000 bottles. Mohan gleefully calculated the potential earnings, anticipating a daily revenue of 1 million low-grade spirit stones from the Golden Core Elixir alone, in addition to the benefits from related projects. Content, Xiao reclined as Jin offered a shoulder massage, relishing their newfound wealth and success. A voice called out Yao's name. A figure clad in black approached swiftly. Recognizing the newcomer, Xiao greeted him warmly, inquiring about the sect master's well-being and inviting him to enjoy some fruit. Declining the offer, the visitor mentioned a message from the sect master. Ye cleared his throat, preparing to deliver the message. Xiao erupts, asserting that the master has discovered Elder Yao's recent obliteration of the Luoyang sect. Is he contemplating switching allegiances? Xiao's indignation is palpable. He even spits out his drink. After composing himself, Xiao acknowledges the master's keen awareness. However, he requests that you convey to the master that Xiao remains steadfastly loyal to the Hong Kong sect, with allegiance as clear as day and night. The Luoyun sect merely serves as a means to supplement income. Appreciative of the information, Xiao assures he will deliver the message. But there's one more matter: the upcoming sect competition in 3 days. Stressing the importance of her loyalty and continued presence in the sect, Xiao urges timely return. Reassuringly, Xiao assures his attendants, crossing his legs in confidence. Rising to her feet, she suggests they hasten their preparations for the competition. Mohan and Z concur. Turning to Muon, she warns of individuals to be wary of upon their return to the sect. Mohan expresses concern, prompting inquiry into the identities of these individuals. With a visage contorted by anger and resentment, Z begins to recount how these individuals were once disciples of Master Xiao, only to betray him and attempt his life. Zer promises a detailed explanation. Mohan, taken aback, pledges attentive listening. Meanwhile, on the sixth peak of the Hongmeng sect, Wang Na and his disciples engage in conversation. Wang Na mentions hearing of Xiao's imminent return to the sect, prompting his inquiry into his disciples' readiness. One disciple remarks on the exercises imparted by Mr. Wang, noting their resemblance to a demonic cultivation method when combined with the cultivation of spiritual beast essence and blood. In response, Wang Na unleashes a sudden burst of energy, attacking his disciple. The disciple is forcefully thrown aside by the impact. He berates him as an ungrateful youth, ignorant of the sacred techniques of the Hongmeng sect, yet audacious enough to question his master's teachings. Rising to his feet, the man humbly kneels, expressing his apology. However, deep down, he harbors reluctance towards practicing something as sinister as this. Turning to his other disciple, named Chuan, Wang Na inquires. Chuan affirms his meticulous adherence to Wang Na's instructions, resulting in advancement to the 3rd level. Now, with refined cultivation, he has reached the 5th level of foundation creation. Wang Na beams with satisfaction, acknowledging Chuan's outstanding progress. With such cultivation, Chuan is poised to lead the younger generation of the Hongmeng sect. Wang Na's smile remains unwavering as he emphasizes the paramount importance of the great sect competition. The coveted prize, the violet key, holds supreme value, a legendary treasure left behind by an immortal of the Hongmeng sect. Legend has it that the violet aura embodies the immortal's legacy, preserved as a great treasure. Every 5 years, the sect hosts a grand competition, with each round's winner earning a portion of the coveted violet key. Wang Na exudes a powerful aura, stressing to his disciples the imperative of winning every round to accumulate the violet key. Failure is not an option, as losing would mean forfeiting the opportunity to claim the ultimate prize. With a forceful slam, Wang Na's hand strikes the table, causing it to crack and sending a jolt of fear through his disciples. Chuan muses that had he known of the 6th peak's malevolence, he would have remained content on the 7th peak. Wang Na dismisses his disciples, instructing them to rest upon departure. A hidden observer remarks on the disciples' growing suspicions. Turning his attention, the observer suggests Wang Na hasten his plans. Wang Na directs his attention towards the newcomer, rebuffing any notion that he allowed the mountain's protective formation to be breached merely for mockery. Wang Na inquires about the preparations of the mysterious man's associates. The man reassures Wang Na, asserting his capability to instill fear throughout the entire Hongmeng sect. With an unsettling grin and a menacing demeanor, the man's countenance takes on a sinister aspect. Several days later, a group of 6 individuals arrives at the Hongmeng sect. Inquiring about his presence, a bystander questions Elder Wang, who explains that he brought his grandson to broaden his horizons after the latter discovered his spiritual path. Onlookers admire the beauty and craftsmanship of the Russian square. Observers note the increased presence of spectators from other sects, speculating on which peak will emerge victorious. Many anticipate the first peak's success due to its long-standing dominance. Feng, the elder of the first peak, currently at the 4th level of the Golden Core, commands a cadre of talented disciples, who have excelled in their cultivation. Discussion turns to Shu Sha, elder of the second peak, who has also reached the 4th level of the Golden Core, boasting disciples of significant prowess. Zhang Hui, leader of the Hong Liang sect in the main peak, further strengthens their ranks. Speculation arises about the absence of the elder of the 7th peak. Some suggest he chose to stay away to avoid embarrassment, citing his disciples' perceived inadequacy. Attention shifts to a figure in the center of the arena, poised to elucidate the rules for the first round of the competition. The competition will comprise round battles, with pairs of peaks drawn to compete. A single defeat results in elimination, while the victor progresses. Winners accumulate victories, with 3 wins securing advancement and 3 losses leading to elimination. Following the competition, the allocation of cultivation resources within the sect will be determined by the competition's ranking, with the victor also receiving a coveted high-level magical weapon, the Ruyi Qing Feng. The inaugural match pits the 6th peak against the 7th peak. Wang Jing, representing the 6th peak, enters the arena, sparking curiosity among spectators who question his affiliation and presence in the competition. Rumors circulate about his past betrayal and subsequent allegiance to the 6th peak, heightening anticipation for the match. Zhang inquires about the whereabouts of Zhao, his disciple, expressing concern over his absence. Zhang becomes apprehensive in light of Zhao's absence. Mockery ensues as spectators jest about the perceived emptiness of the 7th peak, anticipating an easy victory for the 6th peak. They jest about Xiao being the sole formidable figure on the 7th peak. The judge prepares to declare the match due to the 7th peak's lack of representation. Suddenly, a radiant figure appears in the sky, signaling for the match to be postponed. It is Zhao, explaining his tardiness due to oversleeping. Wang Jiang grows irritated at Zhao's tardiness, resentful of his association with inferior disciples and his acceptance of another disciple. Wang Jing, seizing the opportunity, anticipates an easy victory over Zhao's disciple, relishing the thought of their defeat. Seizing the moment, Zhao suggests Mohan as their representative, citing her preparedness for the match. Zi summons Mohan and confides in her about Wang Zhang's treachery against Master Xiao, urging her not to show mercy. Zi echoes Zi's sentiments, advising Mohan against showing leniency towards such a traitorous individual. Mohan gazes at Wang Jing, realizing that she learned of Xiao's situation through him alone. She hadn't anticipated facing the traitor immediately upon arriving at the sect. Initiating the release of her energy, Mohan resolves to give her utmost effort and avoid any disgrace to her master. The judge introduces Mohan, remarking on her current foundation level. Zhang He expresses surprise at this achievement considering Mohan's youth, indicating Xiao's discovery of a gifted new disciple. Meanwhile, at the arena's center, Wang Jing derides Mohan, implying her lack of learning from Zhao. He condescendingly offers to let her strike first out of pity. Mohan's anger flares as she denounces traitors on the 7th peak. She vehemently condemns Wang Jing as a scoundrel who betrays his master and dishonors his ancestors, asserting he's unworthy of being called Xiao's disciple. Wang Jing reacts angrily, claiming Mohan's ignorance of what's best for her. Instructing her not to shed tears, Wang Jing aims his sword at Mohan, warning her to be cautious due to Xiao's praise of his sword skills. However, Mohan effortlessly halts Wang Jing's blow with just 2 fingers, stunning him. Huang Zhang is baffled by Mohan's extraordinary feat. As Mohan exerts pressure with her fingers, she acknowledges the beauty of Wang's technique as his sword begins to crack and shatter. Mohan remains composed, questioning Wang Zhang's prowess as a swordsman if he can't penetrate her protective aura. Maintaining her seriousness, Mohan challenges Wang Zhang's character, questioning his inability to break through her defense. Wang Jing, taken aback, trembles at the sight of his broken sword. Admitting defeat, Wang Jing surrenders, trembling. Mohan instructs him to leave the arena, quickly discerning the potential trickery. In compliance with the competition's rules dictating no interruptions, Mohan swiftly gathers energy in her hand, remarking that Wang Zhang is fortunate as the rules prevent her from ending his life. Fully committing herself, Mohan unleashes her technique. Wang Zhang protests, accusing her of overstepping. Their techniques clash, resulting in a powerful explosion at the arena's center. Once the dust settles, Wang Jing is left wounded and screaming in agony. Standing before him, Mohan remains unscathed. Writhing in pain, Wang Jun's arm is badly injured and burned. He questions if Mohan truly possesses the power of foundation creation, deeming it impossible. Refusing to accept the outcome, Wang Zheng insinuates that Mohan's cultivation level is due to her allegiance to Master Shao. Mohan, smiling unharmed, reveals her progression from the first level of QE refinement to the first level of foundation creation within half a month, attributing her strength to Master Shao's training and rituals. Mohan underscores the superiority bestowed upon her by Master Shao's guidance, contrasting it with the unworthiness of traitorous individuals. Wang Zheng struggles to comprehend how Mohan could impart skills to her disciples and undergo marrow cleansing, finding it unbelievable. The judge declares the 7th peak the winner of the first match, but a sudden interruption occurs. A red lightning bolt materializes before Mohan, requesting a moment's pause. This individual is Chu Huan. Addressing Mohan, Chu Huan announces his intention to challenge the 7th peak. Spectators are alarmed by the challenge as per the rules. While a disciple challenged cannot refuse, the elder can designate the fighter. There's ongoing chatter among the spectators, questioning if anyone from the 7th peak can stand against Chuan. Many doubt it, considering Chuan's remarkable rise from humble beginnings to the 5th level of foundation creation, a position even qualifying him for peak elderhood. The announcer identifies the challenger as someone at the 5th level of foundation creation, prompting Elder Sul to select his disciple for the duel. Simply uttering the name Z, she swiftly materializes in the arena. Z confidently announces her readiness for the confrontation. With a smile, she advises her opponent to exercise caution during their bout. Chu Huan, with a disdainful gaze, questions the eligibility of a mere servant to engage in combat, cautioning Z to be wary. Z responds with a smile, clarifying that the caution is directed towards Chu Huan. In a swift maneuver, one of Ji's swords nearly grazes Chu Huan's face, causing a moment of alarm. Despite the close call, Chu Huan manages to evade the sword's strike. Nonetheless, the sword inflicts a minor wound on his face. Chang's laughter fills the arena as he suggests Z should unleash her full power, to which she agrees to comply. Annoyed by the disrespect, Wan brandishes his sword, asserting their ignorance. Flames envelop Chu Huan as he summons a phoenix, yet Z remains steadfast. Huang inquires about Chu Huan's use of the fallen-on sword technique, designed to counter his opponent's swordsmanship. Meng Yu confirms this, anticipating Huan's satisfaction upon defeating his disciple with a technique he taught. Z, observing the spectacle, merely laughs. With a decisive motion, she launches one of her swords. Chu Huan envelops himself in his energy, wielding his sword defensively as he acknowledges Ji's bravery. However, Ji's strike shatters Chu Huan's sword upon impact. This leaves him utterly astonished. He gazes at the broken sword, bewildered by what transpired and how it was possible. Z, maintaining her guard, attributes it to the Feng sword's exceptional handling. Despite 5 years of training under Master Shao, Chu Huan feels ashamed, having learned only this much. According to the rules, if a sword is broken and the victor declared, the defeated must concede. Yet unable to tolerate Chu Huan's superiority complex, Z retrieves a new sword and challenges him again. Annoyed, Chu Huan reluctantly accepts the new sword, deeming the situation ridiculous. Infused with frustration, he charges at Ji, his energy now crimson. Chu Huan channels his energy into the sword, launching an attack while rebuking Ji's arrogance. Ji effortlessly dodges his strike. With precision, she slashes Chu Huan's arm. Collapsing to his knees, Chu Huan cries out in agony. Z approaches him, remarking on how his initial inquiry about her identity now seems ironic. Z smirks, asserting that even with extended training, Chu Huan couldn't lay a finger on her. Fuming with rage, Huan lets out a primal scream. Z proceeds to scatter numerous swords into the ground, encouraging Chu Huan to make attempts at will, each one destined to end in humiliation. This renders Chu Huan speechless. Z fixes her gaze on him once more, challenging him to demonstrate his disloyalty by simply touching her. She asserts that she would concede defeat if he could accomplish even that. The audience is taken aback by this revelation, as all the swords Z tosses are of a magical caliber. They find it incredulous that a disciple possesses such high-quality weaponry when their master only possesses a handful of earth-level magic weapons. Zhang, perceiving Shao's newfound wealth, marvels at his apparent prosperity. Amidst the crowd, Shao, with legs crosses, remarks on the banality of wealthy life. Finding it overly simplistic, Chu Huan bursts into fits of laughter, his hand pressed against his face. Perplexed, he fails to grasp the source of his amusement. A peculiar energy begins to emanate from Chu Huan's body as he reflects on the initiation and skill transmission from Master Shao. Initially skeptical, he now acknowledges its authenticity, along with the bestowal of the magic weapons. Onlookers are astonished by the unfolding events. Shao begins to analyze the situation, realizing the redirection of spiritual power towards Chu Huan. With a transformed demeanor, he acknowledges Shao's ability to elevate a seemingly worthless individual like Huan into a prodigy, demonstrating a willingness to invest substantial resources. With a manic expression, Huan seizes the sword, questioning whether Ji believes he is only proficient in the techniques taught by Shao. The energy surrounding Chu Huan materializes into the form of a dragon as he charges forward with full intensity, yet Zi evades his attack once more. Undeterred, he launches another assault swiftly, attributing the technique to Elder Wang's teachings of the lowest celestial level. Chu Huan continues to underestimate Ji, citing her lack of experience with swords above the earthly level under her previous masters, Zhao. Chu Huan's attack nearly connects with Ji, who simply smiles in response. Drawing forth her true sword, she asserts her command of celestial level techniques, wielding a weapon of the same caliber with unparalleled skill. With a single strike, she once again disarms Chu Huan, leaving him impressed. However, Zi clarifies that she refrained from using her own sword against him, opting instead to let him experience the potency of her blade due to his arrogance. Zi sighs, remarking that Chu Huan's mention of celestial sword techniques highlights his incompetence in their execution. Additionally, she asserts that blaming the sword's quality is unwarranted, as some individuals are simply inept. Shu's victory over Chu Huan was not solely due to superior sword handling, but also superior skill and mindset. Chu Huan trembles in fear, overwhelmed by the realization that he has been defeated once again, this time by someone he considers inferior. Approaching him, Zi offers Chu Huan a chance to admit defeat and depart with dignity, warning of the consequences should he persist in his delusion. She underscores her duty to purge the Hongmeng sect of all corruption. Despite his laughter tinged with madness, Chu Huan acknowledges his loss, attributing it to Shao's decision to entrust a celestial sword to a subordinate. Succumbing to his inner turmoil, Chu Huan screams in disbelief at his defeat by what he perceives as an inferior opponent. Zhang observes the unfolding chaos, drawing parallels to the descent into madness depicted in ancient tales of demonic transformation. Recognizing Chu Huan's deteriorating mental state, Zhang He calls for an immediate cessation of the competition. The judge signals the suspension of the match, directing disciples from both sides to vacate the arena. Turning to depart, Zi remarks that Chu Huan has been fortunate this time. However, Chu Huan, consumed by madness, asserts his determination not to allow Ji to escape. Tension mounts as the situation becomes increasingly volatile. Zi whirls around with a lethal glare, expressing satisfaction with the unfolding events. Huan hurls his swords at Ji, who calmly prepares herself to demonstrate not only her prowess in combat and swordsmanship, but also mastery over various sword techniques, including the true sword art. The swords from Chu Huan keep raining down at a rapid pace. In a blink of an eye, Ji effortlessly destroys all of Chu Huan's swords and redirects the attack against him, attributing her skill to the teachings of her master Shao. She asserts that achieving such power is beyond someone as inept as Chu Huan. Completely defenseless, Chu Huan screams as Ji's counterattack swiftly approaches. Zhang He, alarmed by Ji's prowess, rises from his seat and implores them to cease their confrontation. Meanwhile, Shao, maintaining his composure, advises against overreacting. Ji smiles reassuringly, assuring Shao that she knows what she's doing. The swords pass through Chu Huan's body without hindrance. Leaving visible marks on his face and severing his hair, Chu Huan grimaces in disbelief. Clutching his wounds, Chu Huan questions if he's truly still alive. Laughter erupts from the audience, further adding to Chu Huan's humiliation. Turning towards the laughter, Chu Huan demands to know the source of their amusement and if it's directed at him. Approaching Chu Huan with a smile, Zi presents a mirror, teasing that she would be disappointed if he didn't admire her handiwork before departing. Placing the mirror before him, Zi urges Chu Huan to behold his reflection. Chu Huan is horrified by his disfigured state. Zi explains that her swords contained her spiritual power, indicating that until Chu Huan can truly defeat her, his hair and facial wounds will remain unchanged. She advises him to pray for a chance at victory in this lifetime and warns him to carry the memory of this defeat with him every time he wields a sword. With that, she departs, leaving Chu Huan to contemplate his fate. Z admonishes Chu Huan not to delude himself, reminding him of his insignificance. He collapses to the ground, kneeling, lost in contemplation of recent events. Bowing before Ji, he concedes defeat. The audience resumes their commentary, marveling at the formidable power of the seventh peak. One spectator notes Ji's frightening prowess, particularly when angered. Ji smiles, acknowledging the expected outcome of her disciple's victory and expressing gratitude for the teaching she received. Zhang He addresses his disciple Chen, prompting him to recall a past incident. Chen recounts being expelled from the sect personally by Zhang He many years ago due to his affiliation with the defected brother of the elder of the sixth peak. Zhang He suspects collusion between the sixth peak and the defector. Expressing concern, Zhang He instructs Chen to investigate the matter thoroughly. The judge intervenes once more. An announcement is made regarding the next match, the seventh peak against the main peak. Zhang He is visibly apprehensive about this matchup. Chen seeks guidance from his master on how to proceed. Zhang He advises Chen to confront Ji at her current level of strength, recognizing her superiority and viewing it as a valuable learning opportunity. Chen accepts this challenge. They step onto the arena as the judge signals the start of the match. Z regards Chen with a hand on her waist, remarking on the unexpectedness of their encounter. Chen readies his sword, asserting that regardless of Z's strength, she must now face him with all her might. With a sinister grin, Z covers her mouth and questions Chen's resolve. Bursting into laughter, she once again unveils her arsenal. Throwing numerous magical weapons into the arena, she expresses gratitude to Chen for his hospitality, promising to reciprocate. Chen is intimidated by the sight of the magical weapons arrayed before him. The spectators are left incredulous by the spectacle unfolding before them. Taking her position atop the platform, Z assumes a confident stance, surrounded by shields and swords. Z observes Chen eagerly, signaling for the fight to commence. Armed with only a single low-grade sword received as a gift, Chen faces Z with apprehension. Discarding his sword in frustration, Chen acknowledges its inadequacy against Zi's array of magical weapons. Chen calls out to Zhang He, urging him to intervene as Zi's actions escalate. Zhang He, visibly anxious, acknowledges that while the rules permit the use of magical weapons, Zi's display exceeds reasonable bounds. Z, despite her irritation, agrees to withdraw her arsenal, inviting Chen to attack. Chen offers a grateful smile, acknowledging her gesture. Seizing the opportunity, Chen launches into an aggressive assault, confident in his ability to overcome even celestial weapons. Z assures him that she will honor his request. Erecting a shield capable of withstanding powerful attacks, she challenges Chen to test his skills against her. Undeterred, Chen continues his relentless assault, pressing Z with all his might. She challenges Chen's ability to withstand her assault, doubting his capability to penetrate a simple shield like hers. She insinuates that Chen may not even lay a finger on her in their bout. Chen's fury intensifies at the implication that he cannot refuse a challenge. Shouting that he hasn't yet unleashed his full strength, Chen launches a powerful strike at Z. Despite Mohan's warning for Z to be cautious, Chen manages to breach the barrier. However, as he breaks through, another shield materializes before him. Chen collides with the shield, sustaining a bump to his head. Assessing the situation, Chen, albeit with a bump on his head, inquires if Z has more tricks up her sleeve. Undeterred, he leaps to attack once more, declaring that his assault won't be limited to just 2 strikes at maximum strength. Destroying the first shield, Chen faces another one, then another, as he unleashes a barrage of strikes. Despite his relentless onslaught, Z remains composed and unyielding, unaffected by Chen's efforts. After numerous shields litter the ground, Chen, exhausted, faces 3 remaining shields while Z, relaxed, sits in a chair wearing sunglasses and sipping a drink. Overcome with exhaustion, Chen trembles as he vehemently declares his refusal to lose. However, he collapses unconscious onto the ground as the judge announces the end of the first round, declaring the 7th peak as the victor. Ji swiftly traverses the arena, expressing gratitude to the spectators, who are astonished at Chen's defeat solely through defensive measures. Ji approaches Xiao, who praises her intelligence and resourcefulness, exchanging a high five in celebration. Observers marvel at the intimidating fighting style of the seventh peak, recognizing their overwhelming power despite their noisy demeanor. Xiao questions Ji about her enduring dissatisfaction with Chen and her decision to confront him directly. Zi sighs, acknowledging that Chen's past superiority in cultivation had established him as her rival. However, with Chen now only at the 10th level of the inmate stage while she has progressed to the 2nd level of foundation creation, she deems it unnecessary to fully exert her abilities against him. Mohan glances at her and expresses his discontent with the prevailing characterization of DRI as a bully, leaving him unhappy. Despite Mohan's discontent, she adopts a poised stance, affirming her independence from past influences and attributing her newfound perspective to the teachings of her master, Xiao. Her true aspiration, she declares, is to challenge the ultimate master of swordsmanship. Beaming with happiness, she expresses her admiration for Ji as Xiao's disciple. However, she suggests they return to rest adequately as the second round awaits them tomorrow. Wang Na, taken aback by the unexpected display of power, finds himself annoyed by its unforeseen potency. Ying expresses admiration for the competition's remarkable caliber, prompting Zhu, her companion, to draw parallels between the remarkable Chongming sect and the esteemed Jin dynasty, albeit on a smaller scale. Ying reveals her discreet deployment of spies to delve into the background of the girl. Once an ordinary member of the Hong Kong sect, this individual, now the senior disciple of Elder Xiao, has undergone a dramatic transformation, marked by significant feats such as the massacre at Lord Luoyun's mansion and a solitary challenge against the entire Luoyun sect. The significant turn of events recounted by Ying highlights Zhao's newfound dominance within the Hongmeng sect. His formidable actions, including the conquest of key territories, prompt Ying to question whether he possesses the desired talent. In light of Zhao's remarkable accomplishments and his ability to foster strong alliances, Ying underscores his formidable presence within the Hongmeng sect. She ponders whether he embodies the type of talent they seek. Wade Yu queries Ying about her intentions regarding the recruitment of Xiao. Ying affirms positively in response. She specifies that her recruitment of Xiao hinges upon her ability to secure this year's prestigious prize, the Violet Key. Amidst their conversation, a voice from the vicinity of the 7th peak exclaims, "Violet Key." The individual in question is Mohan, who inquires about the significance of the Hongmeng Violet Key. Xiao elucidates that it's an exclusive offering of the Hongmeng sect, bestowed annually based on the standings in the grand competition. It's believed that those who devoutly practice with the Hongmeng Violet Key are bestowed with favorable fortune. Xiao explains that winning this year's competition would grant them the coveted first-class Violet Key, heralding an extraordinary transformation for the entire peak. Mohan expresses astonishment at the revelation, considering the relatively modest reputation of the Hongmeng sect juxtaposed with the existence of such a remarkable treasure. Xiao concurs with Mohan's sentiments, recalling his own surprise upon first learning about it. Nevertheless, he eagerly anticipates testing the efficacy of the Hongmeng Violet Key. Continuing their journey through the 7th peak, they press on. Zhou remarks on the superior aura permeating the air, facilitating greater productivity with less effort. Mohan approaches a golden tree, recognizing it as a vital ingredient for refining the infinite golden elixir, the infinite seed. Puzzled by their abundance, she queries their presence. Upon closer inspection, Mohan discerns that this year's Hongmeng Violet Key appears notably potent. Further along their path, Mohan notices several molten fire lotuses, suggesting their potential use in forging spiritual swords akin to those of their master, Xiao. Upon hearing Mohan's observation, Xiao turns with a smile, suggesting they give it a try. After a lengthy journey, they finally reach their resting place. Z wonders about the automatic remodeling of the house, to which Xiao explains rumors suggesting that all structures within the Hongmeng sect were crafted. Witnessing the Li Mountains firsthand reaffirms Xiao's belief in these legends. Xiao announces to his disciples that it's time to retire for rest ahead of the next round tomorrow, a sentiment Mohan and Z agree with. Meanwhile, within the arena, the battles raged on. Zhang found himself once again locked in combat against Linking, only to suffer defeat yet again. His spirits plummeted as he grappled with this unwelcome outcome. Seizing the opportunity to belittle Zhang, Linking taunts him, recalling the day he sought to join the 2nd peak, but was rejected by his master. She insinuates that Zhang lacks genuine commitment to swordsmanship, questioning his presence among those studying under her master. She wonders aloud if Zhang shares her observation regarding the surplus of disciples on the second peak. Closing in on the kneeling Zhang, Linking scrutinizes him closely, deriding his worthlessness and lack of reputation, emphasizing that even if the second peak were teeming with disciples, none would show interest in someone as insignificant as Zhang. Zhang bows his head, visibly discomforted by Linking's cutting remarks. Undeterred, Linking continues her tirade, mentioning Elder Xiao's tailored sword techniques for his disciples. She expresses eagerness to witness them, lamenting the wasted effort of battling Zhang. She expresses a preference for facing Ji instead. Jin's fury reaches a boiling point, causing him to tremble and clench his fists in frustration, though it avails him nothing. The judge signals the end of the match, bringing an official conclusion to the encounter. With 3 consecutive defeats, the sixth peak faces disqualification. Observing this, Wang Na's anger escalates, condemning his 2 disciples as nothing more than worthless trash. He instructs one of his subordinates to inform Brother Chong Feng of the bleak prospects for the sixth peak's advancement. Wang Na emphasizes the necessity for all to prepare for an assault on the mountain to seize the coveted Hongmeng Violet Key once the competition winner is declared. On the second day of the competition, Ji stood poised in the arena, prepared for the next round of battles. Inquiring about her opponent, he expresses a desire to learn the sword techniques employed by Z, but voices concerns regarding the potential use of magical weapons by her. As he prepares for the bout, he queries whether she intends to employ such weaponry against him. Responding with a smile, Z admits she hasn't yet decided. The skirmish commences by launching a relentless assault against Z. Despite the onslaught, Z maintains her composure, drawing confidence from her newfound proficiency with the lacquer sword, which has imbued her with a distinct sense of fencing prowess. Concentrating deeply, she seamlessly incorporates her innate Thunderheart step technique into her movements. With ease, Z disarms her opponent, effortlessly exploiting the weaknesses she identifies with her Thunderheart ability. Bai finds himself bewildered by Z's swift movements, barely able to keep up. Acknowledging defeat, Bai praises Z's relentless swordsmanship, recognizing it as being on a higher level. The judge announces the conclusion of the match, declaring the seventh peak as the victor over the second. Among the spectators, discussions arise regarding Elder Chao's remarkable resurgence, with admiration for his achievements despite years of silence. Others are captivated by Chao's beauty, speculating about the type of woman who could win the kindness of Elder Zhao. Returning to her master's side, Z receives praise for her exemplary performance in the fight, her master expressing satisfaction with her swordplay. Suddenly, a remarkable woman approaches Xiao, surprising both him and Z with her presence. Addressing them, the woman reminisces about their past encounters, noting Xiao's apparent improvement over time. Xiao, in turn, observes the woman, noting the strength of her aura and the growth she seems to have undergone throughout her life's journey. Reflecting on the past, she recalls Xu Yuan's remarkable cultivation upon entering the Hongmeng Sect, which often led to a sense of rivalry between them. Xiao found this rivalry bothersome, as it seemed Xu Yuan competed with him in nearly every aspect. However, the future took a harsh turn when Xu Yuan's cultivation reached a plateau, causing others to underestimate him. Despite this, there was one person who continued to treat Xiao with unwavering respect and support. Zhu Xuan remained steadfast in her encouragement, urging Zhao not to give up and insisting on training together, for which he remains grateful. Expressing his gratitude to Zhu Xuan for her unwavering support, Xiao also shares his excitement over recently accepting 2 talented disciples. Curious about Zhu Xuan's plans, he inquires about her duration of stay, learning that she intends to remain for a few more days. Zhu Xuan then introduces her disciples, expressing their gratitude to SEO for rescuing them in the forest. SEO responds with a smile, questioning whether Zhu Xuan's courtesy may be excessive. Approaching Zhu Xuan, Xiao expresses gratitude for her support and acknowledges the benefits of winning the grand prize, the first-class Hongmeng Violet Key, which will significantly advance his cultivation. Zhu Xuan reciprocates the compliment, mentioning Xu Yuan's commendable performance in the tournament, securing the second-place position. Continuing their conversation, Wang Na observed from a distance. His demeanor reflected anger and dissatisfaction with the unfolding events. Surrounding him, several men stood ready for battle. Wang Na declared that it was almost time. Issuing the command to attack, chaos erupted as peaceful areas within the Hongmeng sect came under assault. Perplexed, the guards couldn't fathom how the attackers infiltrated without detection. Their leader bellowed orders for the theft of the violet key from the sect's main square. Chang Feng, elder of the Lunar and Solar Ghost sect, addressed the sect leader, his power currently at the first level of the nascent soul. Chang Feng echoed his call to action. Zhang He, an aging thief, stood with an army at his back. Surveying the scene, he condemned Zhang Feng as despicable for deserting to join the Lunar and Solar Ghost sect, only to return and stir up trouble. Chang Feng smiled, asserting his superiority at the nascent soul level compared to Zhang, who remained at the Golden Core stage. Chang Feng demanded Zhang kneel, beg for mercy, apologize for his actions, and surrender Jiaxuan to him. Chang Feng chuckled, suggesting he might spare the sect and depart if Zhang complied. Zhang He unleashed his power, asserting that the Hongmeng sect was not a place where he could enter and leave at will. He initiated the activation of the mountain's protective formation, which he had prepared for this moment, causing the energy surrounding the sect to stir into action. Suddenly, the protective barrier began to assail the invaders, striking multiple targets simultaneously. Chang Feng recalled tales of an immortal-level figure within the Hongmeng sect and marveled at the power of the mountain's protection, witnessing its effectiveness firsthand. Despite the initial success, Chang Feng noted with regret that the situation would not end there. The protective barrier began to falter, leaving Zhang He incredulous at the sight unfolding before him. Panic spread as the protective formation started to collapse, alarming the sect members. Terrified, sect members looked up, realizing the breach in the protection, and wondered about the unfolding events. Sensing the looming danger, Zhang He turned in apprehension. Upon closer inspection, Zhang He realized that demonic energy had infiltrated the first peak, the primary target of the mountain's protection, now corrupted by this malevolent force. Zhang He becomes increasingly anxious as each move by the Lunar and Solar Ghost sect appears meticulously calculated. Their adversaries seem to have thoroughly planned their actions. Taking initiative, Zhang He mounts his bird and informs his elders that he will return to the first peak to reassess the mountain's defenses, leaving the invaders for them to handle. Assuredly, Jukes 1 and 0 assure him that they will manage everything in his absence. Jukes Yuan reminisces, drawing parallels to events from a decade ago. With a smile, she recalls an incident where she desired to descend the mountain to watch a play, resulting in her being pursued by her master's spiritual sword. Joshua, acknowledging his enduring prowess, affirms his skill. Demonstrating her resolve, she engages multiple adversaries, signaling her intent to forge ahead. Jukes 1 gazes at the invaders, asserting that their audacity to attack the Hongmeng sect signifies their willingness to face death. Channeling her energy, she prepares for combat. Swiftly striking multiple opponents simultaneously, she asserts her dominance. Xiao readies his swords, acknowledging the formidable performance of the Duke's twin swords, vowing not to lag behind. Launching his assault, he inflicts significant damage upon those in proximity, swiftly dispatching numerous foes. Buoyed by the momentum, Bai and Link eagerly express their intent to join the fray. Combining their efforts in both offense and defense, they manage to claim several kills. Mohan braces for combat, while Z remarks on the effectiveness of dual sword combat, particularly when utilizing the green and purple swords together. She eagerly anticipates facing both adversaries simultaneously when the opportunity arises. Assuring G of support, Mohan pledges to clear a path, facilitating her engagement in battle. Zoe boldly asserts her unwavering trust in Muon, willing to stake her life on it. Z launches her assault with formidable strength, effortlessly dispatching multiple adversaries with a single strike. Mohan administers one of her potions, enabling her to wield multiple magical weapons with greater proficiency. Muon focuses intently, manifesting several weapons simultaneously. Bai and Linking marvel at Muon's mastery over numerous powerful magical implements. Linking suggests that the seventh peak might not have fully exerted its strength in the competition, yet still achieved a decisive victory over its rivals. Huang seizes the moment, launching a surprise attack on Zhou Chaohan from behind, citing favoritism from Master Zhang as justification. Xiao urgently warns Juice 1 to stay vigilant, Recognizing her own vulnerability in the face of imminent danger, she relies on a swift maneuver to protect herself using one of her swords. Huang Na is incredulous as Xiao once again thwarts his schemes, stoking his rage. Xu Chuan seizes the opportunity, exploiting Wang Na's momentary lapse in defense to launch a powerful assault. Wang Na, desperate for assistance, calls out to Chang Feng, who is engaged in combat with Xiao. Meanwhile, as Zhao unleashes a barrage of sword strikes, Chang Feng erects a magical barrier, rendering Xiao's attacks futile. Realizing he's on his own, Chang Feng begins channeling immense energy, summoning forth the Soul Summoning Banner, a massive flag imbued with powerful magic. The air fills with the eerie presence of several undead creatures, materializing all around them. Chang Feng commands them to initiate the attack. Upon witnessing the scene, Zhou informs Xiao that Chang Feng, after betraying the Hong Kong sect, had deviated from the righteous path and transformed into a monstrous entity. In that moment, Chang Feng, driven to madness, cackles maniacally amidst his army of undead. Chang Feng cries out, lamenting that they were neither human nor ghost, deeming the situation excessively cruel. Furious with indignation, Chang Feng shouts that years ago, he had been willing to do anything for Duke Yuan, only to be treated with disdain, leading to mockery from all around. He continues, blaming her entirely for his plight, asserting that her disapproval drove him to take drastic risks, resulting in the loss of his spiritual power and forcing him onto the path of darkness. Rallying his troops, Chang Feng reiterates that were it not for her, he wouldn't be in this dire state. Zhou Chaohan persists in her fearless combat. She cautions Xiao about the skeletons, noting their proximity to the peak of the Golden Core, urging caution. However, Zhao remains undeterred. A skeleton approaches Ying and her elder Wei, swiftly incapacitating one of them with a single blow. She queries whether, given the circumstances, the Hongliang sect requires assistance. He remarks on the cowardice of the elders of the Hongmeng sect, their fear evident upon seeing the soul-summoning banner. Only two youths, a male and a female, prove themselves worthy. Yet they have yet to transcend the Golden Core stage, making it challenging for them to confront Chang Feng. Moreover, the master in the nascent realm of the Lunar and Solar Ghost sect poses a formidable threat. Wei grimly concludes that the Hong Kong sect is unlikely to escape this calamity. Meanwhile, amidst the enemy ranks, two individuals fought with unwavering resolve. Jiaxuan and Xiao stood shoulder to shoulder. Ying engages in battle against the monsters, pondering the potential futility of aid from the Hong Kong sect. Yet she admires Xiao and Jiaxuan's skill and determination, considering them worthy of apprenticeship under her tutelage. Wei decides to remain vigilant, ready to intervene should Xiao or Zhu face imminent danger. Xixi continues to fight tirelessly, wielding her sword to cut down multiple skeletons at once. Wei recalls rumors of a celestial-level dual-wielding technique within the Hong Kong sect, acknowledging Jiaxuan's formidable prowess with both swords. Ying smiles at the thought, even as she faces a skeletal hand emerging from the ground, grasping her leg. She realizes the hand is poisoned, rendering her immobile. Surrounded by skeletons wielding chains, she finds herself helpless. Suddenly, a colossal skeleton looms behind her, its presence palpable. As the giant skeleton moves to capture her, Ying senses impending doom. Cheng Feng remarks on Xuan's progress over the years, lamenting her impending fate. The giant skeleton's size dwarfs the others, a daunting sight for Ying. Cheng Feng declares that despite Xuan's improvement, her demise is inevitable. The giant skeleton advances, poised to seize its prey. Yang, recognizing Juqiwen's peril, signals to Wei that it's time to intervene. But before they can act, a voice cries out, warning the monster not to lay a hand on Sichuan, before cleaving it in two with a colossal sword, obliterating it completely. Zhu Ziyuan, Ying, and Wei are stunned by the spectacle before them. Determined, he unleashes his true power, scoffing at the might of the nascent soul, claiming to have dispatched such entities effortlessly before. Xiao, wielding a sword, smiles as he reflects on his newfound understanding of the 10,000 transformed into one technique, now able to strengthen his sword solely through condensed runes instead of relying on spiritual energy. Cheng Feng dismisses Zhao's success as mere luck, deeming him too arrogant for such a stroke of fortune. Summoning several skeletons, Cheng Feng vows to teach what true strength entails. As the monsters converge on Zhao, he remains composed and unmoving. Xiao summons his swords, inquiring about the formidable opponent Chung Feng promised to reveal. Witnessing Xiao effortlessly obliterate the skeletons in one fell swoop highlights the vast power disparity between them. Chung Feng is baffled by the source of this power, feeling the pressure emanating from Xiao's movements. Bai and Linking feel the threat looming. Z erects a barrier, urging Muan to seek shelter behind it due to the dangerous energy Xiao is wielding. Wei creates a barrier to shield himself from the pressure, incredulous at Xiao's ability to dispatch hundreds of undead at the golden core level with a single blow. Yang marvels at Xiao's unprecedented power for someone at the golden core stage, recognizing that if they can overcome him, victory in the 10,000 Dao Festival is assured. Xiao strides through the scattered remains of the skeletons, questioning aloud. Reflecting on Chung Feng's underwhelming display after causing such chaos, Xiao offers him one final opportunity. Xiao demands the release of Zhu Xuan. Chung's displeasure grows as he realizes Xiao's proximity to Zhu Xuan, fueling his anger as he contemplates past rejections. He then ominously suggests demonstrating the consequences of choosing the wrong allegiance. The chains constricting Zhu Xuan tighten further. Xiao implores him to cease his actions, advancing rapidly. With a swift stroke of his sword, Xiao severs all the chains, liberating Zhu Xuan. Chung Feng recoils in fear. Zhu Xuan struggles in agony, attempting to summon her swords but succumbing to exhaustion. As she collapses, she calls out. Xiao swiftly catches her, lifting her into the air. Concerned, he inquires about her well-being, their interaction fostering a warm atmosphere. Overwhelmed, she can only stare in disbelief, speechless. Blushing and embarrassed, she averts her gaze, assuring him she's fine. This time, Xiao's actions meet with approval. Blinking remarks happily, noting her master's blush. Mohan observes the scene, while Z, heartbroken, calls out for her master. Xiao, cradling Zhu Yuan in his arms, brandishes his sword with determination, informing Chung Feng that his chance for redemption has elapsed, and now death awaits. Like a bolt of lightning, Zhao swiftly moves, his sword piercing Chang's body, eliciting screams of pain. Growing increasingly weaker, Chung Feng struggles to believe what is happening to him. Within moments, he collapses to the ground devoid of strength. Zhao smiles, cradling XQC in his arms, rendering her speechless. She turns to him, calling out his name. Xiao adopts a serious expression, believing she must be impressed by his prowess this time. Yet she surprises him by asking if he would release her. Xiao is speechless, but eventually agrees. The moment her feet touch the ground, she compliments Zhao's remarkable movements, expressing a desire to spar with him in the future. Xiao smiles, boasting of the unique ability he just unveiled, emphasizing its effectiveness against someone like Chung Feng, who recently attained the nascent soul stage. He confidently asserts his ability to contend even against deities, leaving Ying to ponder the truth of his claim. Contemplating Zhao's supposed capability to combat deities, she turns away, questioning the extent of her trust. With this, the last monster in front of them is defeated. Wei acknowledges that Zhao's technique resembles the 1,000-to-1 transformation of a seasoned sword cultivator, yet she admits inability to discern the intricacies of his spiritual energy and swordplay. Yang is impressed, noting even Wei's inability to fully grasp Zhao's skill. Wei confesses to being at the peak of the nascent soul stage currently, but acknowledges that facing Xiao now would likely result in defeat. Fearing his own inability to emerge victorious against Xiao, Wei expresses his concerns. Ying is utterly taken aback by Wei's admission. Imagining Zhao's remarkable talent, she marvels at the wealth of skill within their country. The invaders, witnessing Zhao's swift dispatch of their leader, begin to contemplate their next move, realizing it's too late for regrets. Xiao advances towards them with an ominous presence, questioning their audacity to flee, to presume entry into the Hongliang sect and departure unscathed. Trembling, the men collapse before Xiao, casting aside their weapons, confessing to being misled by their elders, pleading for forgiveness and mercy. Xiao, accompanied by Yuan, stands before the repentant invaders, who beseech for forgiveness. Before Xiao can respond, a deafening explosion rocks the area. Ji Mohan, startled by the noise, realizes it emanated from the first peak. Frantically, she cries out that Master Zhang is in danger, urging action, but Xiao commands her to stay put, assuring her that help is already on its way. A figure shrouded in demonic energy swiftly approaches. Two individuals arrive on the scene. The approaching figure is revealed to be the leader of the Lunar and Solar Ghost Sect, an old demon of formidable power at the 5th level of the nascent soul stage. Holding Zhang captive, he demands surrender, warning of dire consequences if resisted. Striking Zhang He, he causes him to cough up blood, before rendering him unconscious and sprawled on the ground. This fills me with complete rage. The invaders, who had previously pleaded for mercy, now rejoiced as their leader arrived to rescue them all. The demon turns towards them and inquires about Chung Feng's whereabouts. One of their disciples informs him that Chung Feng has been slain. Perplexed, the demon asks how they managed to kill him. The disciple affirms it, claiming he witnessed it firsthand. The demon bursts into laughter, dismissing the notion as absurd. He questions how even a seemingly feeble sect like the Hongmeng could have vanquished Chung Feng. Wondering who the perpetrator was, the demon queries why he wasn't aware of the existence of nascent soul cultivators within the Hongmeng sect. The disciple points to Zhao, implicating him. Zhao nonchalantly brushes off the accusation. Scowling at Zhao, the demon belittles him as a mere insect at the 7th level of the Golden Core, daring to be so audacious in the face of life and death. He declares that if Zhao truly killed Chung Feng, he would be groveling at Zhao's feet, begging for mercy. She smirks and invites Zhao to kneel before her. The demon then inquires about the methods used to execute such a deed. In a flash, Zhao attacks the demon, striking him. The force of the blow sends the demon flying several meters backward. She asserts that words alone wouldn't suffice to convince the demon, preferring to demonstrate how Chung Feng was dispatched. Lying on the ground, the demon begrudgingly agrees to this proposal. Rising to his feet, the demon retrieves his sword, poised to strike down Zhao then and there. A surge of energy gathers within the sword as he unleashes it towards Zhao. The clash of their swords creates immense pressure, propelling both of them. The commotion sends the bystanders scurrying for safety. Zhu Xuan swiftly erects a barrier, instructing everyone to seek shelter behind it. Merely from the force of the blows exchanged between the demon and Xiao, the invaders sustain injuries. Zi and Mulan observe from a distance. Shu begins to ponder, noticing Zhao's keen ability to anticipate his movements. The Luo Yun's sword she had acquired is a low-grade spiritual sword of celestial caliber. Utilizing the 10,000 kilometers technique, it should possess the power equivalent to a middle-grade celestial sword. Zi acknowledges that the demon's sword surpasses hers, likely of the highest grade. As the battle intensifies, Zi grows apprehensive, recognizing the escalating danger. The demon attempts to strike Xiao, who swiftly evades the attack. Xiao retreats, leaping backward. He requests the loan of just one sword. Xiao channels his energy, summoning the swords instantly. He also deploys his flexible swords. Impressed, she observes her master utilizing the 7-star exorcist sword formation technique. She admires Xiao's mastery of the technique. At that moment, Xiao is enveloped by a dense and unwavering aura. His swords are poised and ready for action. She confronts the demon, declaring that regardless of his self-proclaimed divinity, his fate is sealed. He will perish today. Zi can barely contain her elation, recognizing the 7-star exorcist sword formation as a high-grade celestial level technique. When all 7 swords are engaged, its power rivals that of the Z-grade immortals. She tosses her sword to SEO, offering its use if needed. Ying marvels at the sight before her, having only encountered the sword formation in ancient texts, never anticipating witnessing its manifestation firsthand. Retrieving her sword, she offers it to him, suggesting that if he intends to execute the 7-star exorcist sword formation, her sword, a terrestrial-level dragon sword of the highest quality, could be of use. Yang sees this as a prime opportunity to earn Zhao's trust, with everything now in place as Xiao possesses the finest swords. Pointing at the demon, he vows to eradicate the lunar and solar ghost sect's presence. Today is the day. Xiao initiates his assault. The demon, sporting a smirk, questions whether Xiao truly believes that additional swords would guarantee victory. Fearlessly, the demon meets Zhao's onslaught, only to realize his defense is inadequate. His attempt to block the attack proves futile. The strike circumvents his defenses, leaving the demon grievously wounded. Undeterred, he admonishes Zhao not to become too arrogant too soon, asserting that regardless of Xiao's prowess, he won't leave the scene alive today. Employing a spell, The demon declares it's time to utilize his allies as he launches an assault against them. The few survivors question why their leader would turn against them. The demon begins to drain the life force and blood from his comrades. Enraged by this betrayal, Zhao condemns the demon for not even sparing his own companions, sealing his fate. If you liked the video, then subscribe to the channel and write a comment about what you liked. All the best. See you soon.